What is up, everybody? I'm the Iceberg. Welcome back to the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. This week, we have some special guests with us, and our first special guest is here with us right now, Jesse Little. Jesse, welcome to the show, man.
Absolutely, guys. I appreciate you having me.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. And just to start off, kind of explain so far how your season's been just up to this point, even with the COVID apocalypse going on.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, there was a lot of, I would say, interesting characteristics going into this year. It was the first time I've ever worked with a different team. That wasn't my family team. It was the first time I've done something full time, pursued something full time, besides the regional racing, of course. And then it was also the first time that I've been in Xfinity cars. So there was a lot of things, still is a lot of things that I've been using to kind of build my notebook and go back and thicken my knowledge. And it certainly has so far been very rewarding and has allowed me to see a lot of opportunities that I would have never guessed myself getting, go to places, race with guys, and have the success that we have is pretty damn awesome. It's been a fun year. It's been great to work with these guys and getting to race as much as we have with the whole COVID pandemic has been, I think, very helpful for me to be in the car every single weekend, especially not having practice. So that certainly helps a lot. And we've found our rhythm for sure the last 2 months and have been knocking out some very solid finishes for us as a team and organization. And, what's cool and exciting is we're finally getting to that point now where we're able and fortunate enough to be able to sit down and start talking maybe the chances of making it in the playoffs. So that's really exciting as a rookie and as a an under-resourced team like JD to be able to have those discussions, and that's all we ask for. So we're going to keep riding the wave and see what happens the next handful of races.
Jesse, I've been keeping track with your career since I want to say around 2015, 2016, and I would always see this 97 truck. It's inside the top five, and in my mind, I'm thinking, is that truck supposed to be there? But then I'm like Jesse Little's driving it, so yeah, it obviously is. But then you made your Cup Series debut in 2018. I was really excited about that. I'm like, okay, finally he's gonna get a chance, and really the main goal I thought for that race for you was basically just keep it clean, stay out, completely out of the leader's ways. You did exactly that. And then, recently this year with the opportunity to drive full time for JD Motorsports, I was like, finally, he's going to finally have a more stable organization. I mean, it's obviously not the best, but it's a lot more stable. It's a full-time gig in the Xfinity series, one step below from Cup. So how has that transition been moving on, moving from, just doing these little part-time gigs for your family's team from, now competing on, close to the big stage?
Yeah, it's been unbelievable, man, to hit on kind of what you just said. What's been fun is the transition and kind of evolution of my career over the last just really 3 years. 2018, I had my breakout truck season year and we only ran 10 races. I made my first Cup start, and then last year was very kind of the bottom of the wave, the crest or the trough as I call it, and it was very humbling and reminding that the sport is tough and hard, and kind of really it pushed me to get very serious and tell myself personally and professionally, what do you want to do with this sport and how hungry are you? And I think all those kind of factors and characteristics led to the decision to go race with an organization like Johnny Davis. And then the success we've had so far this year has been nothing but rewarding to me. And I love the way we race. It fits me so well going out to these races and looking at it like a game. I love to look at these races like a game as we're playing. I call it playing the game, whether it's one weekend we might not have all the sets of tires, or one weekend we're just off on horsepower. No matter what it is, we're just going to play the game to the best of our abilities. And we've been doing that, and we've knocked out, I think, 9 top 20 finishes in a row. So that's fantastic for Johnny and myself. And we're going to keep doing it and see what can come.
So yeah, this is your first year racing Xfinity, but you have plenty of Truck Series experience. What's the biggest difference kind of jumping from the way the Truck Series trucks drive versus how an Xfinity car drives? Like, what are the biggest challenges to kind of overcome when you're a rookie in the Xfinity series?
Yeah, that's a good question. First off, what I noticed and what I even told myself going in is, even though I've never had an experience in these cars, I've already, even with COVID to this point, I've already almost had more races under my belt than the last 2 years of truck racing combined. So as funny as that is to say, it's definitely helped me with the transition of getting used to these cars. They certainly don't have as much downforce. They have a little bit more horsepower, a lot less drag. So their speed's there. And quite frankly, the drivers from 10th through 20th, they race their ass off. It's very competitive. We're driving hard. We're racing. And so learning early and quickly that no matter what track, no matter what your situation is, whether you have tires or not, or, you don't have the full allotment, no matter what, you just have to drive your ass off every lap. And that's kind of been the best thing for me, I think, in approaching it also with that is you better do that, but you also better finish, no matter what. So I think the transition's been, it would have been nice to get some practice at some of these tracks, but I'm not the only one. So I remind myself of that and just try to go out there and do the best we can.
So, Jesse, one of the advantages you have running for a team like JD Motorsports is that they are fielding so many cars each week. And with that comes so many more talents that you get to kind of like feed off of throughout the race weekend. I know your teammate Ryan Vargas has kind of suggested us that having BJ McLeod there pretty often has been such a big person for him to learn from, and he really speaks highly of him. Like, who would you say of your teammates you work with has been the best for you in your transition this year as a rookie?
Certainly BJ is high on that list, only because, he's not only had so much experience, but he's certainly done it the right way. And what I mean by that is, you never hear a bad thing about him. You never hear anyone talk bad about him or another, whether it's another driver or crew chief or owner. He's always very professional and personable. And for me, that's the whole umbrella of being successful in this sport is making sure that, you're not just entertaining people on the track, but you're doing it the right way off as well. And I think for me, BJ's certainly been that person that he's where he's at, and he's continued to have a career at where he's at because of his personality and his performance. And it's been very helpful, and I often use this analogy with even my dad is, BJ included, is guys like that, they teach you a lot, and almost 80% of what they teach you has nothing to do with racing. It's always, how to brand yourself and how to carry yourself, and, communicating with sponsors and owners and learning that dynamic early. And I think he's tremendous at that. And he definitely likes helping younger kids and younger drivers like myself. So I'm certainly reaping those rewards.
So Jesse, I got to ask, what has been the biggest lesson so far, just moving up in your racing career, that you've learned that like you wish you would have known going into it? I think for me, something that I'm always going to have to remind myself of, and I try to even now, but still don't do a great job. It's just, I often get caught up in making sure everyone's happy rather than being forceful with my opinion and being stern and I guess impactful with what I think should happen. I sometimes may get lenient with a setup we run or a situation that arises, and I don't like people being upset with me or something like that. So I'll just kind of suffice and do what they want to rather than put my foot down. And I think that's something early on I wish I would have done a little different, and still wish I would too, both to gain some respect, but also to kind of legitimize my name and make sure that people know that, I want it just as bad, and I'm passionate, I guess.
So in the second half of tonight's show, after you leave, we're going to have Noah Gragson on. And Noah Gragson this season has been aggressive as hell. I mean, you're out there on the track with him. You've seen that. But you, on the other hand, you're in a totally different situation where, not as much money. And it's like, hey, like, this is our car. And it's like, if you mess this car up, it's like, we're going to be a bit in the hole, too. Just tell us what it's like racing on that limited of a budget. I mean, does it, like, get exciting because it's like, okay, I gotta really take care of this car, or does it get very anxious to do that?
I think to answer this question best, I like to go back to what I said as far as this fits my style really well. And what I mean by that is, if you guys have ever seen the movie Moneyball, that's exactly how I approach.
Yeah, I love that movie.
That's exactly how I approach every single race. And what I mean by that is, it might look bad and it might sound bad saying I'm not going to race a fellow competitor very hard for a certain position, but I am always aware and I'm always thinking, if this guy should actually beat me, I'm not going to take a chance and hold him back. And I'm not going to let a full-time team with a Hendrick engine and all the tires, I'm not going to hold them back and chance, them spinning me out or chance them dumping me when I know in reality they should beat me. And I'm always approaching each race and each lap like that. And I think it's done, it's certainly showed that it's helped me, right? It's we're finishing and we're consistently finishing strong. And it is tough and it can be frustrating at times to go to super speedway races and I'm not even, I'm anti-aggressive. I fall to the back even if I started. Hell, I think at Talladega we drew 13th and I dropped to the back. So examples like that. I think as far as always playing the game and being smart, and I certainly can't argue it now because we're sitting just, I want to say 20 points outside of 13th. I think we're tied for 15th right now in points, and so that's a fantastic goal for me and for this team, and we're going to keep doing it that way. We have to keep doing that way unless a major sponsor falls in our lap, but we enjoy it. It's fun, and I certainly think we're turning a lot of heads approaching it that way, and it's helping me run all these laps, right? I think I could even make the argument if I went out there and was aggressive and busted my ass and wrecked the thing, I'm not learning nothing. Rather than now we've completed, I think we've only had one DNF since COVID. So it's all part of it. It's the process. I like I'm a big Alabama fan, so I'm always trusting in the process and we'll see where it goes. But so far it hasn't led me astray.
I want to ask a more specific question about an upcoming race. So NASCAR announced yesterday, I guess, that there's going to be no practice or qualifying at any upcoming events for the rest of this year. But how does that make a driver like you, I don't know how much road course experience you have, but how does that make you feel going into the Daytona road course specifically here in a few weeks? What are your thoughts going into that race?
So for Indy, I hadn't ran a road course since 2015 in a K&N car. And I got one lap of practice because we needed to save our tires for the race. And for that race, I'm going to go to Daytona with the exact same approach. I'm going to go there with no matter what, we're going to finish this thing. I like to use the phrasing a very old friend of mine taught me when I was young, Legends car racing. He said, if you keep the black on the black, you're going to have a good day road course racing. If you keep the tires on the asphalt, it's going to be a good day. And so I can't argue with that at all. And that's what I did at Indy. We started dead last and we finished 17th, and that's what I'm going to do at Daytona. So I'm not pushing any examples. I'm getting tons of iRacing laps, and then we'll go from there.
So I'm going to have a little bit of fun with this question here. So you talk about, big sponsors coming on with JD. One of the biggest sponsors I think everyone's seen over the last few years is Flex Seal. And now, I guess in the previous year, somehow their main spokesperson, Phil Swift, has become very popular to a lot of people. And I got to ask, you as a driver for a team who's sponsored by Flex Seal, have you got a chance to meet Phil Swift? Is he a pretty cool guy? I mean, does the people at Flex Seal, do they get to come do a lot of things about pre-COVID with you guys over JD?
I unfortunately haven't gotten the chance to meet him yet. I know we were working on a lot of those deals early March, and then of course everything was halted and came to kind of a standstill. A lot of that stuff. Unfortunately, no one's really been able to make it to races anymore. But I do know they help us tremendously with a lot of product, and I can attest that it is pretty cool the stuff that they send us and we're able to use on the race cars. But I haven't gotten to yet. I sure hope after some of this stuff settles down, we can hang out at a race or two.
Hope so too, and also don't hate me for saying this, but I'm a Tennessee Vols fan, so I'm sorry about that.
Hey, I'm sorry about that.
I just think it's hilarious to hear that y'all use actual Flex Seal products on your race cars.
I want to know more. I want to know more about that. Can you tell us a use for it?
We're supposed to silicone all crush panels and package trays and stuff like that, and they have the actual Flex Seal itself, just very similar to a silicone, except it dries even faster. So we'll use that to silicone crush panels, silicone the splitter where it meets the lower nose half. With the Xfinity cars, you don't have a lot of building, I guess, because the bodies are fiberglass and they're both together. But like with the steel body car, I could see hundreds of uses for it on the bodies, making panels, on the firewall where you may have an old existing hole, cover it up with some Flex Seal, so on and so forth. I could give you a laundry list.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I didn't know your team actually used it.
Putting the sponsor to good use there.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's some brand representation right there. I like that. Yeah, for sure. So really quick, guys, fan questions, put them in the chat really quick. I know Jerry's about to say that, but just a really quick reminder, put your fan questions in the chat. We'll probably pick out 2 to 3 of them.
Well, there's 2 right here, and we'll leave it open for one more in the chat. Darian, you look out for that one. But the 2 that I had here, one is from Isaac McKissick. He asks, what are your expectations for the rest of the season moving forward?
That's a great question. I think, I'm constantly reevaluating those. And after this week, I feel if we can squeak out one more top 10, I would be very happy. Even more than that would be fantastic. But right now, my goal is just to finish out the next 6 races in the top 15. And I think doing that will get us really close to that playoff spot come Daytona. I hope will be our last race before the playoffs. They haven't released anything further than that, but I think if we can keep knocking out these top 15s every week, that's a great goal for me, and it's going to help us in the points for sure.
And then the user on here, I only say he's a user on here because this is his name, Cold Custard, asks, what is a dream race for you to win in all of motorsports?
Oh, that's a great question. For prestigious wise, you'd have to put the Indy 500 and Daytona 500 up there. For me, I think growing up, the coolest race for me always was the Southern 500, and I still stand by that. I think that one just, growing up in North Carolina and knowing the history of auto racing itself and how long that track's been around, I think that one would be the most special one for me for sure.
And one final question. This is a funny little question from Blake. Could we possibly see a John Deere sponsorship possibly in the future? I mean, you got a lot of history right there. Definitely a lot of family history.
It fits well with JD Motorsports too. So
yeah,
exactly. There's a lot of pros to that, and I still haven't found really one con. So you guys helped me out with that, but I think it would be really neat. I certainly know that there's a lot of promise around the Darlington races. Hopefully we could work on something. We're always trying. I can promise you guys that it's not from a lack of effort. I can tell you that, but it'd be pretty damn special. I think everyone would love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100% there. You see, back in my day, I always thought it was called John Deere, so I said it wrong for many years, and I said it live on stream, and then I got memed as hell for that. So I always got to tell that story.
Then he came over to my house this weekend. He saw my John Deere mower in the garage.
Yeah, I wanted to ride it. We didn't have time. I had to leave early, but like next time I'm over there, because out in Vegas we don't have lawns. We just have rocks in the front yard. So,
rocks.
Yeah, there's not really anything to mow, but definitely got to on that for sure.
Yeah, I guess if you could have heard a couple country music songs, you would have known, huh?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, see, that's my thing. I don't really listen to it like that. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's for sure.
I hear you.
But yeah, hopefully a sponsorship comes out. They need to sponsor you full time, especially with the resume you put on this year. Just that alone, I really think can warrant that. But obviously, there's a whole lot of more variables than that. But we wish you the best, man. Hopefully, we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, guys, and it's been a blast so far. It's been fun to, kind of get my name out there a lot more and show people how serious I am and how I guess how I like to race, and I'm still just a regular old kid, and but I'm certainly going to keep swinging until my arms fall off at least.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I like to hear. Definitely.
Speaking of slinging, where can we get that hat?
Oh yeah, I was about to ask. That's a nice hat. Yeah, where can we get that?
Write it down.
Yeah, I got all my links on my socials, but it's just shop.jessielittle.com.
Well, speaking of your socials, I have your Twitter link in the description, but where else can people find you? We got like 300 people watching here, and they're all really excited and want to know where they can find you.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. All of my stuff is the same: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's all Jesse Little 97. I recently got on TikTok. I'm not very good, but I recently did.
I'm like, too. Trust me, it's a different site.
I exist on TikTok, but I don't do anything.
Yeah.
I got like two. I think I got like two of them up, and they're both of my dogs. So I mean, it's nothing special. But yeah, all Jesse Little 97. Come on, I'm very active, and certainly like seeing everybody now. It's been a lot of fun, especially this year to see the interaction. It's something I never would have thought of, to be honest. So I'm certainly enjoying it every day.
Well, hopefully things can change where fans can come see more than just Cup Series, because I'd like to see another Xfinity race this year. So.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, same.
Absolutely. I do too. It's it makes you wonder. I get it. I guess if any race can have fans, it should be Cup. But I certainly hope one of these days they can figure out a way to get some people to watch truck and Xfinity races, because it's we put on a good show too sometimes.
Yeah, Well, as a matter of fact, Xfinity puts on the best damn show like almost every race weekend this year. I mean, I'm just saying, I love the racing.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100% there, bud.
Absolutely.
Well, Jesse, we don't want to take any more of your time that we have to. Thanks for coming on, and hopefully we can see you at the track soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely, guys. I appreciate it. If you ever need a whole field again, for sure I'll hop on, and I love doing these. Hopefully. Maybe ours was even better than Joe Rogan.
I'd say so.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, probably the chat will probably agree with that.
Take notes, Joseph.
Yeah, definitely got to take some notes.
Maybe we need a Spotify sponsorship.
Hey,
I like that idea.
You never know. Yeah, we'll see. But anyways, Jesse, thank you so much for coming on. Have a good one.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Take care.
All right. Later,
thank you, man.
Thank you.
And I just saw in the chat, holy crap. Thank you, Smoke Carbon.
Oh, thanks.
For the $25 super chat. It says, I've been trying to find my blue Under Armour shirt. Found out Danny B is wearing it. Can I have it back, please? Sign it first, then give it back.
No.
Yeah. If we're gonna talk about
thank you, man.
If we're gonna talk about shirts, BFM shirts on sale, go ahead, get your shirt, get your merch.
Iceberg too, but look, I got this at the fairgrounds this past week. It's
yeah, badass. I saw that too. I got the same shirt, and it happened to exactly be in my size. I'm like, yeah, I gotta get that.
Both of y'all got some steals in the shirts.
It was like 2 for $10, but like it didn't have any like cards. So I was like, Danny, can you just give me $10 and I'll Venmo you it immediately? So Danny came in clutch there. I appreciate that. So
really quick, I just want to thank everybody for watching. But we have we had on my tab here had gone up to 300. So we got about 300 watching. Lick that like button as we go into the next segment. Noah Gragson will be on at the top of the hour. We just sort of. One driver 1 hour, one driver the next. They're both really awesome, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's get into it. Do we want to start talking about the All-Star Race first?
And then we
can
let's
go
start
talking about Texas.
Let's talk about the most exciting race of all last week first. But yeah, All-Star Race. We were there last.
No, we got to talk about the Open if we're talking about.
Oh, the Open. That's right. The Open, of course. Yeah, the Open was the best racing out of all of them to me. It was just I knew going in. They were just going to do desperate things. Desperate things were about to take place. Immediately on the first 3 laps, I see 3 wide, 4 wide going on. And I'm just like, whoa, this is like even crazier than I thought. No practice, like only some PJ1 being applied only to the bottom. So it was basically old school Bristol. And I just realized that immediately. And then the whole Bubba incident, that was completely uncalled for. I don't know, like McDowell. Just seems like he just lost his mind there for about a brief moment there. I mean, I was watching Bubba, and he was definitely in a position where he wouldn't have needed the fan vote. It was pretty obvious he was going to race his way in eventually. And he's just bumping. He's just on his back bumper, keeps bumping him. Typical Bristol stuff for about 2 to 3 laps. And then all of a sudden, just side swipes him on the straightaway, on the backstretch. And I'm just like... What?
Real quick, the crickets, that's Darian's computer.
Yeah, my computer's going... pretty much. I don't know what the problem is, but anyway.
It's a cooling pad.
See, it was working for a brief moment, and then I just left it in my backpack on the way to the house, and I don't know, it just hasn't been working ever since. So got to definitely get that. But no, back to Bubba. Bubba Wallace basically got taken out, and there was a chorus of cheers and boos because of that. So I was like expecting the best of both worlds. Even during the intro, he was getting booed too, and I was like, "Oh yeah, just there you go. Like, good job, guys. Like, that was a good one. Like, you still lost though, because you still lost your flag. But anyways, Bubba was definitely gonna race his way in. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And then Clint Boyer ended up winning the fan vote, so that was good. But I mean, it seemed like the best 4 cars made it in. Had Bowman, not Bowman. You had Byron. You also had Almirola, and then DeBenedetto make the final spot, and then Clint Boyer. And Clint Boyer happened to finish second in the final race in the Open. So I thought that was good.
It's kind of nice seeing DeBenedetto being the true All-Star Open winner, because it's like, oh, he got his win at Bristol.
Oh yeah, exactly. It was a little bit of redemption.
Thank you to PTM Scroopy, I think is how you say your name. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. But thank you for the $4.99. Says watching while working, but phone is about to die. Keep up the good work, guys. Oh man, I hope you find a charger, man. But we appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
and then $5 here. I think, it says this is from Bobby Weitzel. He asks, do you guys think that Tyler Reddick is going to win a race this year with Cole and Austin already getting wins?
I think it has potential, and that's why I'm starting to get worried for people who are kind of like flirting with that bubble line, because I'm like, I think there's still
Kyle Busch.
Yeah, no, especially him, like, a couple bad races, and if he doesn't win, surely he's going to win. He's Kyle Busch, but it just doesn't make sense.
I mean, we're going to talk about that cut line. Last time I checked, Johnson's only 2 points to the good over Willie B there, so there's a bit of a conflict of interest over there at Hendrick Motorsports. If anybody below that cut line is going to win, I feel Tyler Reddick definitely has the most potential. But, I mean, even for Austin Dill's win, which we'll get into later, there was a couple circumstances that led to that. Still pulled off the victory, but, I mean, it could have happened to Tyler over the weekend as well. It just didn't happen to get P2. So we'll see what happens. The potential's there, though.
Yeah, it's just we got at least 2 wild card races, plus we figured out anything could happen at these other races too. So, I mean, if those 2 wild card races get won by 2 people we didn't expect, there's now 12 locked in and only 4 spots available.
See, overall though, with the All-Star Race weekend, and we'll get into talking about what outside of the race itself, like, was the atmosphere with that, but I was pretty happy with it overall. PJ1 is like the one place, because like you can't deal in absolutes. Obi-Wan reference, if anyone knows that one, completely. And I've been trying to learn that, and definitely, like, I'm not a big fan of PJ1, but I got to say it does work at Bristol, especially like this proved both with short races and with long races, whether you want just one line or for that top line to come in longer races, like the night race. But the Open was fun as hell, man. There was so much beating and banging. I went back and watched your vlog, Danny, and there were points of it where they're like 3 and 4 wide in the corners. It was just absolutely nuts. The stuff with Bubba and McDowell, I thought it was uncalled for, but I found the reactions funny. I loved what Bubba did, putting the bumper on the trailer. Then they move it to the trash can, and I think somebody had like in their head like, wait, we can get some publicity out of this thing. And they grabbed it back and put it into the hauler.
And one of the guys of Almirola started to even take it too, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then of course I got the moment on camera when the front row people was just putting it in the truck there. And I don't know if you saw this or not. I was so close to getting like the whole Bubba moment on camera. I literally stopped filming right as it happened. I noticed as I was watching the vlog, I was like, oh wait, there it is. It was happening right there, right when I stopped.
Yeah, and they're doing it for a good cause too, so that's good. It's a good story.
And I like that it ends out well. And then the All-Star Race overall, well, it wasn't as good as the Open. I still enjoyed it. I liked that. I liked that there seemed to be a lot of people that were moving through. I know people were like, there wasn't much passing. There was throughout the pack. It's the All-Star Race. So that's like the one race where we don't complain about looking at only the leaders.
That's the way, people say they want old Bristol. That's the way old Bristol was. Like you hug it on the bottom line. You couldn't pass on the outside. If you wanted to make a pass, you had to push someone out of the way.
Oh yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I thought it was, Chase Elliott winning, especially a new All-Star Race format, or track. And I just thought that him winning, the most popular driver winning, is probably the best way that they can go about having this. I did I did find that Chase Elliott fan who climbed the fence that Moon had interviewed.
I love Chase Elliott.
What inspired you to climb the fence? I love Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott won.
I'm telling you guys, that guy was into it. That guy was just straight up having a good time.
That guy was country as hell too. I did not expect him to sound like that.
He was redneck. He was redneck.
Yeah, I was like, God damn. But you can definitely tell there was a major generational difference. And I'm sorry for my computer sounds, by the way. I can even hear it. And it sounded like a
maybe just
friggin' fire jet there.
Maybe just mute it when you're not talking.
But basically, there's a huge generational difference between, what Bristol is and what it means to some people. Some people basically, they love old school Bristol, including myself, because you basically had to move, you had to knock people out the way to get going. And that's the way it was. But now, there's a generation of fans who are just so used to this, this whole progressive banking era of the famous racetrack, of the last great Coliseum, that, some people, they were getting annoyed watching it because Kyle Busch tried to make the outside work towards the end there to get the Elliott, but I'm like, bro, there's no grip up there. Like, you can try, it's not going to happen. Like, he was, and, to his efforts, he was only doing it in turns 3 and 4, I think, as a precaution. Like, well, I'm not going to do it around the whole track because then I might just lose more time. Like, I mean, he didn't really gain anything, but I don't think he lost much either. So,
Eric, you were also there. What'd you think?
Yeah, I think talking about the banking and how the track was different, it was clear they put too much PJ1 down for this race compared to what they'd done at Bristol the last couple of years, which I thought the Bristol we saw like last year and the start of this year, a few weeks ago, was like the perfect Bristol. I love old school Bristol. Like old school Bristol is great, but it's just a faster Martinsville. I like that with the progressive banking and the PJ1 on the bottom lane. I'm with Jared. I don't like that PJ1 it's clearly a Band-Aid being applied to flawed tracks like Bristol or like Texas. But I love that the last couple of years it's created two true lanes that drivers have the choice to choose between. And it's not like one's way more dominant than the other. Like, if your car might change throughout the run. And anyway, we never saw the top come into play in the All-Star race. I think partially because it was a shorter race, so there was less time for people to get up there and rubber it in. Towards the second half of the race, you started to see like Kyle Busch kind of move up there. Keselowski was one of the earliest ones to move up there. So you saw some guys move up there, but it just never truly came in to where it was equal to the bottom lane. And that definitely made it look like old Bristol, but it was like old Bristol where, I don't know, I felt like the cars weren't getting as close to each other. I know this is the low downforce package, so they didn't have the rear spoilers, but I feel like it was rare to see cars get within, a few feet of each other. There was consistently like a gap. Only a few cars looked like they could consistently pass, and I think Chase Elliott was probably the most dominant car all night long, so it was fitting that he got the win. So overall, we can talk about the event later on, but I thought as a whole, but the race, you're right, the Open was way more exciting, and but the main All-Star race, while maybe slightly disappointing to some people who expected just something outstanding, like the Bristol race from a few weeks ago, the points-paying Bristol race that wasn't for $1 million was more entertaining than the All-Star race, which I think a lot of people didn't really expect. But it still was a solid race. A mediocre Bristol race is still an above-average NASCAR race, in my opinion.
Yeah. And to be fair, on your point you just made about the spring one being better and previous Bristol races being better, you say that too much PJ1 was applied. I don't really think so. I think it was probably the normal amount, but the biggest difference is, like, in the spring, they had a 300-lap Xfinity race before it to, kind of work it in. But then think back to, the night race last year. Well, we had how many practice laps being ran by K&N cars? You had Truck Series race and practice, Xfinity race and practice. I think the big difference is just the fact that they just never got ran in.
That might be true as well. Lack of laps before the main show probably played a role in that as well.
Yeah, I mean, also, only applying it to the bottom, too. I mean, yeah, what'd you expect? Really quick,
I want to thank Corvette Racing 48 for the $5 super chat. It says, maybe try and get the guy who climbed the fence on the podcast sometime. You know what? If that guy is somehow out there, if he follows one of us, I'm 100% down having him on.
I just hope he survived tonight.
Yeah, he said his Facebook was like, it's Corbin, blah,
something get money.
Something. I can't remember.
Something get money.
He was messed
I love
up.
it.
Definitely messed up.
So looking at the ratings for it, the ratings are actually really odd for this. The Open was up from last year. Last year's Open had 1.21 million viewers. This year's Open had 1.5 million. I'm like, okay, that's good. But then the ratings for the All-Star race were down. They had a 1.27 rating with about 2.1 million viewers compared to last year, which was almost 2.5 million. So I'm wondering, is it just like there's more excitement overall, so we had the bigger core audience there, but not like I don't know what happened there. That's just weird to me.
Are they back to playing baseball? Is that doing?
It's opening nights tomorrow night.
It's the midweek race effect for one.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a Wednesday night race, and I think we've established Wednesday night races aren't getting what typical Saturday and Sunday races are used to getting.
It could be that the All-Star Open got a few more viewers because it was like right before. Like there's two big wrestling shows that'll get close to 1 million views for each of them, and I'm sure some of the same people who watch that are probably also race fans. Maybe just attracted a few people. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe also, I don't know if we want to admit it, or I don't know if it's necessarily even true, but Bubba Wallace getting wrecked out on lap like 10, he is drawing a lot of eyeballs. I mean, I was kind of frustrated seeing him get wrecked. I was looking forward to seeing what he could do in this race because I know how good he is at Bristol. I'll bet that didn't turn 300,000 fans off, but that might have turned, some fans away.
On that note there, they'd already released who won the fan vote. I mean, everyone knew Bubba had won it.
But then they said that Boyer won it straight up, and I was like,
I don't know about that.
I don't see why Bubba didn't just kind of cruise in the back, like if they knew already that they had it.
I mean,
did they announce the fan vote winner before?
Well,
they said for like a week it was Bubba, and then after Bubba got crashed, they're like, by the way, Clint Boyer won it outright, and we're like,
okay.
yeah, I definitely wasn't sure if I believed that, but last I saw was just that update they gave a week earlier, and a lot can change in a week. Maybe the initial Bubba wave bled out. I don't know, but I definitely doubted that.
I mean,
I don't think there was a single person in there before Bubba crashed that believed that Clint Boyer was getting the fan vote.
Well, yeah, to this whole point of like, well, he should have ran in the back. I was debating that too, and we had that conversation on the way to the racetrack. But I mean, Bubba's a racer. He wants to race his way in, and that team, they want to race their way in straight up because there's that whole sentiment. Bubba's not as talented as some other guys, but I mean, he's pretty damn good if you've been keeping track.
It was just weird. Like in the past few years, they've given they say these 10 drivers are leading the family, but in no particular order. This year they was just like, here's the order. This is literally it.
Yeah,
they're gonna pounce on it. Really quick, thanks for the $4.99 super chat, Jordan Culberson. He says I like this idea. I'd like to see something like the Noble 5 come back with bright orange spoilers, numbers, and font numbers. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh,
I'd be down with that.
Speaking of numbers, damn, should we talk about those damn placements or what our thoughts were, what they were like in person? Because I want to get mine out the way.
We can talk about that in the Underglow.
Damn Underglow. When they announced the Underglow, I had this picture in my mind of Kurt Busch's banquet car. I was like, damn right. It's going to match the cars. It's going to be bright as hell. I love it. But nah, it was the exact opposite. It was some sort of cheap imitation. It just didn't look. It would look very unpleasing to watch it, to really look at. And apparently they were like matching the manufacturers rather than the paint schemes, which I thought was a missed opportunity. And then to make matters worse, they get them the day of the teams, and from what we've heard, the teams are being blinded on these pit stops. And this is the last place you want to have any sort of blindness on, especially when moving cars are are currently on pit road, and when they're working on the cars, changing the tires and stuff. So
really quick, is there a running joke with this, Danny, from Derek Cope?
What?
He left a $1.99 super chat, said Danny B's gas and beer fun. Is there a running joke I'm not knowing about here?
That's new for me here.
Yeah, I never heard that.
Well, thank you, Derek Cope.
I'm just going to do a little illustration here. Hopefully this will look right on camera. But, I mean, just look how much better, blue kind of matches of a car.
Right.
With the nationwide colors. I mean, that looks better.
And that's a nice custom, by the way. That's a custom car, by the way. That's a nice custom.
Yeah.
Hey, the yellow looked right on Alex Bowman's Chevy parts car, though. So
it did. There was a few cars where it looked right. The Bowman one looked right. The Truex looked right.
And Blaney to an extent, maybe.
I think.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
The blue's just easier on the eyes, I think.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, to my point though, I felt it was just such a missed opportunity, because it was so hyped up to oblivion. Hey, new number placements, and then new freaking these lighting things. And then I hear Junior on this podcast basically hyping it up, and then me and Jared are just in Danny's man cave shooting pool, and then we stop what we're doing and we're looking what? This is the first I have ever heard of anyone outright being all for this, and I'm like, nah, I mean, this was a cool little experiment, but if they decide never to do it again, I don't think anything's lost.
If they're gonna try and do it again, they got to do it like they did the banquet, because I admit that actually did look pretty cool. And please, the rumor that I was hearing is that they want to try it maybe on the night playoff races. Like maybe we could hold off on that and not throw another wrench or another variable in already, since we're not doing qualifying or practice or anything. Like, let's try and keep away some stuff for these teams normal, because it's like we were saying that some of the crew members were actually saying they were blinded by it, and then they didn't get the lights until that day. So it's one of those things where it's like, I think that it was cool in theory. It was not as good in execution. Like I thought the Chevys looked like they were on fire the whole time.
The funny, go ahead.
If we're gonna do something that looks cool for the playoffs, let's go back to what we did a couple of years ago when Sprint was still in, where all the playoff guys had yellow numbers. Now that I liked that. So we could go to something like, just give them, well, now it's not really going to look as cool because we have a white logo. So
for me, someone that's pretty old school, I'd say with my fandom, to be like, listen, I'll give it a shot, is saying a lot. You screwed it up, guys. Come on.
Here's and basically in conclusion, the funniest part all night, my roommate Matt was like, hey, have fun at the race. And I'm like, bro, it's on right now, and I'm here right now. And he's like, oh, damn, because Matt's not here. He has to come back next week. He's moving out, unfortunately. He has to move back home. But he was watching the race, and I was asking him straight up. I'm like, what do you think of this new number placement? And because he's been watching racing with me for about 2.5 years now. And granted, his first race was the Roval in 2018, so he really got introduced to the sport like really well. He got the best race possible, the first possible race, and he's watching it and he's like, damn, I actually like these. I'm like, wait, like what do you mean by these? He's like, I like the number placements. Harvick's car was apparently the best scheme, and I've heard that from a few people. It might have been to some, to each their own.
I did like it.
And then, finally, he's like, I love the lights. And I'm like, why? He's like, it reminds me of Tokyo Drift. I don't know, that song's in my head. I'm like, yep, that is exactly what NASCAR's trying to do, appeal to the casual fans like yourself. But there's only a few casual fans really like that. So I don't know. It's just, is it really worth going down that path? No, not really. But this is NASCAR, so they do that the most at some times. So we'll see what happens.
And speaking of casual fans and everything, if you want to have a little piece of the All-Star Race from this year as a souvenir to remember the one time where we tried Underglow and weird numbers, I think Lionel Racing is offering about every single car in the All-Star Race as a pre-order for a diecast with the option to do the Underglow too.
Sorry to the custom diecast makers. They were probably looking forward to do that, but then Lionel was
Darren,
like,
your crickets are going off big time.
Dude, there's nothing I can do. I keep hitting the mute thing. I don't know, man. I'm running OBS. I got
Zoom
open,
you can't mute your mic.
I'm talking right now. What am I supposed to do?
You're always talking.
I'm talking. What am I supposed to do? I can't do nothing, man.
Skip.
God. But I'll get it fixed by next week.
Wait, I just realized this. It's not going to make a difference for our stream if it's literally. Wait, I don't know.
But
if he does his own mic, it's all right because he has at least the rest of us.
Yeah, I've been doing the old mic, basically turning it on and off.
I thought the pushback numbers looked pretty good. That's my hot take for the night. I wouldn't mind seeing that full time.
Wait, hold up, Eric. Which schemes look the best, Eric? Please tell us which schemes look the best.
The McDonald's Matt Kenseth scheme looked phenomenal. The Austin Dillon, I think it was Bass Pro, I don't know, it was orange and black, looked phenomenal. The Harvick one looked pretty good. Chase Elliott's I thought looked fine. I think in general, my concern was that the numbers would be so small that it would diminish their kind of the way they stand out, because I think the numbers and the fonts in NASCAR are extremely important. It really didn't. I think it needs to be a little bit more standardized. I thought some of the numbers, like I think Eric Jones didn't look quite right. It looked like his was like almost too low on the car, whereas I think it was Harvick, or no, somebody else's looked a little too high on the car. So they need to standardize that. But in general, seeing him in person versus a lot of the really terrible renderings, I wouldn't mind seeing that. It's not the kind of thing I'm going to go out and picket for, but it's the type of thing where if sponsors are saying yes, or teams are saying, yes, we can sell more sponsorship. We have sponsors knocking on our door. This will help us stay in business better, help us stay competitive. Like, I'm not going to sit there and say, no, terrible idea. I'm very much like, do what you got to do. It looks fine to me.
I like the way that some of these teams kind of changed up their look entirely, because the Smithfield car changed up its look entirely for it. Michael McDowell's loves travel stuff car. Well, they incorporated the big heart into that design, so that looked pretty cool.
I thought Hamlin's was the most pointless because he didn't even put a second logo on his quarter panel. He just still had the one fact, so his was stupid.
It was
the only one that I think I liked was the 37. I think they nailed it. But
that was a good one.
other than that, I was not really crazy about it. I think that I'm
unfortunately for the 37 team, they ended like in smoke or something after the race somehow.
Yeah, they were on fire. Yeah, and like
I
was
don't know
like,
how
we were
that
looking,
happened.
and then like the freaking crew guy was like hella spraying the fire extinguisher. I'm like, oh damn, it's on fire there.
Really quick, we got 2 super chats, so I want to read them real quick. Jordan Culberson, thanks for the $4.99, says, how can I get on this? I'm an encyclopedia of knowledge. We're gonna do a fan stream at some point before the end of the year, and probably the end of the year too. So just make sure you tune in each week, and whenever we do that, we'll let everybody know. And then Joshua Campos for the sends $5 Canadian. I believe that's Canadian. Says, as a new fan, I was hyped for the underglow, but it has to match the livery. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And then thank you, GN, for the $4.99. Says, Underdog for Thursday. Reddick finished 9th last year at Kansas. 8 cars on pole last fall at Kansas. Expect him to compete for the win tomorrow. We'll keep that in mind for picks. Really quick, do you guys want to go through the poll really quick? We still have to talk about Texas, and we're about 10 minutes from the halfway point.
Y'all go through the poll. I keep hitting the hell out of my laptop, and it's like stopping sometimes. So give me a moment. Y'all go ahead.
Yep. Please don't let the stream go down.
I will say this. Claudia sent me a message. She said, what is Jared talking about with the crickets, because she doesn't hear anything. And she said, I don't hear anything on my end. So she's watching from our TV upstairs, and she says she doesn't hear anything.
Yay, so the fans don't hear nothing. You guys unfortunately do. So, and I have to freaking hear it, but it's all good. Anyway, so what's the poll? What's the poll look like? The Iceberg poll. What's it look like?
Okay, so the All-Star Race, 2020 All-Star Race, what'd you think of it? We had another record, and we did not break the record at Texas, spoiler alert. So this is our new record, 8.3 thousand votes. So thank you all for voting. And 20% of you think it's great. 47% of you think it's good. 20% of you think it's average. 8% of you think it's below average. 5% say it's bad. And it looks like 100% of the chat says that they can hear it. I like how I did that one. 13% net negativity to a 67% net positivity, which that doesn't shock me with how it ended up being. Oh yeah, someone said it's muted. Oh yeah, Darian's muted, so they can't hear the crickets now. So Starshine 9 had the top comment, says, short and practically uneventful. The All-Star Open was better, to be honest. Well, we all kind of agree with that. Let's see. I'm not going to go through too many of them because we got to go through a second race before we have the lightning round, before we have Noah on. So let's see what we got here. Loch Ness Monster, or Luke Ness Monster. I don't know how to pronounce that one. Now it says, I guess I'll echo what everyone else is saying. Too short, generally uneventful. I'd say yeah, they should have probably. I'd say if they put 60 to 100 more laps to it, I think it actually would have been pretty good distance, especially for a Bristol race. Just didn't have enough time to play out. Thank you to Fast Dane for the $10 super chat. Says, I hope NASCAR does at least a couple midweek races in the future. I love being able to go to Bristol because I, along with about a third of Americans and growing, work weekends. That's a good point. It's just a matter of TV ratings. That's the big problem.
I mean, honestly, if I look back to what I was doing last year selling cars, I'd never had a weekend off. So
let's see. Eric Katosi, you got to Chase Elliott 9. So you stand out in here. It's a Hooters 9. Says, I was expecting a lot of wrecks. I think a lot of people were. I think people overhyped that part of it, to be honest. Let's see what we got here. What's our final comment? Why is it? Oh, wait, great. It reloaded. Yay. Let's see. Yeah, a few people are saying it was overhyped. Even though it was overhyped, it was still better than most All-Star races. They didn't need some gimmick or some new package to make it awesome. They just needed Bristol. Rudy K with the final comment says the All-Star race is so much better at Bristol. I agree. So. Yeah, that's it. That's the poll. So Texas. Who wants to talk about Texas?
Atta boy, Austin.
I do. I'll talk about it first. So I got home immediately. I turned on the TV, and I'm just bored out of my mind. I'm sorry, just straight up. And I haven't been this blunt about a racetrack in a while, or really about anything, to be honest, outside the number placements and the lighting. But oh my God, Texas, it's dead. It's dead. Like here's the thing. this weekend's or last weekend's Texas race, it wasn't that bad, okay? It wasn't that bad. It wasn't terrible like some people would say. To be honest, I think most people already had their preconceived notions already of the racetrack, so they were going in already, with all of this negative energy. I get that, but then objectively looking at the race, it wasn't terrible. But at the same time, growing up as a kid, I'd watch Texas, and I mean, it's a 1.5-mile track, another 1.5-mile track on the circuit, the one of many on the circuit thus far, and for years it's been now. And I would always look forward to, like, for some reason, like, I would look forward to this track a little bit more than I would a 1.5 miles at, let's say, Chicagoland, or even at my home track, Las Vegas. Because, I mean, people can work the outside lane, and really 2014 eclipsed all of that. I mean, just high power, high downforce package, and, guys were ripping the top, just doing their thing. And then after 2016, the track reconfiguration happened, and I just can't, like, I just still do not get the logic of why they would just lower those corners just so that much. Like, I understand making modifications, and really, if I'm not mistaken, Eric, wasn't it because of the whole leakage thing, right? In 2016, correct?
The repave in general was done because they had like a 6-hour rain delay in 2016 for 20 minutes of rain.
But why the
reconfiguring 1 and 2, I've heard a number of things. I originally heard it had something to do with they thought IndyCar would like it more, like it would be better suited for IndyCar. I don't know if that's true. I don't know anything about how IndyCars work and if that makes any sense whatsoever. But I think more than anything, it was just Eddie Gossage is aggressive. He's always looking for ways to set that track apart. He was dealt at the time a superpower, just mega facility that for the first 15 years of its existence consistently brought in over 100,000 fans for each NASCAR race weekend. And unfortunately now it's too big for the times, and there's also way too many of them on the racetrack. So what used to be its biggest blessing is now its biggest curse. And I actually have a video coming out on Friday that's kind of all about the history of Texas Motor Speedway and where it went wrong and where it's going next. Because I personally, I hear all the negativity about Texas Motor Speedway. Don't get me wrong. The sense of the repave, it is a much worse racetrack than it was before the repave. But I don't know, after this race, to be so negative on it after this race, which I thought was an objectively enjoyable race. Yeah, it had its issues. I mean, obviously, it's part of the cars are limiting it as well. But, the PJ1 is the only reason the top lane was even somewhat usable. But the bottom lane came in early on, and the cars were more on edge than they are at most other racetracks on the schedule. Guys were getting loose, getting tight, sliding up into each other. It looked like an Xfinity race at times. This was the best race at Texas Motor Speedway since at least 2016. And I remember 2016 had a stinker or two. So it's probably the best race at Texas Motor Speedway in at least 5 or 6 years. So I think Texas Motor Speedway is not great. Chance it'll lose one of its dates in the next year or two, but the idea that Texas Motor Speedway is going to go away, or the idea that it's gone forever and it's never going to get back to what it once was. Repaves always suck. Outside of Kansas was probably the best repave in recent years, and that's because they added progressive banking and it created still a multi-groove track. But most repaves suck for at least several years. I'm still convinced Texas Motor Speedway can come back, but I mean, yeah, the reconfiguration was a mistake. I think if they could go back, good chance they would change that decision, and I wouldn't blame them.
I think if you look back to Bristol Motor Speedway, like they are the prime example of a track that was ruined. Like there was quite a stretch of years where it was like horrible. Everyone just stuck to the high line. You couldn't make any passes, and then it got fixed over the last few years.
I'd say honestly, I think it's better. It was a lot better in the Kentucky race. That's the one people were like comparing it to. I mean, Don't get me wrong. I don't think it was a great race by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not going to just pretend that it was, but it wasn't horrible. I think I gave it like a 5 out of 10. Just kind of like right in the middle. It's not great, not bad, just somewhere in there. It's not one that I think that like 5-10 years from now we're going to be like, God, that was a horrible day. Like this was terrible. This is terrible. It was eventful. It had its fun moments, and that's at this point with this configuration of Texas, I think that's what we can ask for. If we get something like that, that's definitely a lot better than what we've got in the last couple of years with it. I'm almost like thinking that Texas is going to become the 1.5 mile version of Phoenix, where they're just going to start reconfiguring it all the time. Like, because that seems like what they've done with Phoenix. Like every 5 years, we're like, let's just have a different track every week, every year, whatever it might be, and that's what it's turned into. And granted, they've had good moments with all of those. Maybe Texas will be like that. I see what I would love. What set it apart. Everything's bigger in Texas is the whole deal. Make it like give it the highest banking of any track in the sport, just to be like, everything's bigger in Texas, bigger banking, and see what the hell happens. Why not? Go for it, Eddie Gossage.
Let's have 45 degrees of banking.
Jeez,
yeah,
Fairgrounds, they had a quite a sizable number of amount of banking on theirs too. I was like, damn, Texas 18. Needs to. I mean, damn, well, Texas needs to kind of go back that route again. Let's have have drivers work the top side again. I miss those days.
I want to see it so heavily banked that under caution they have to run the apron.
They got to run the apron. I know, right? You could probably find those abbreviated tracks on like NR 2003 mods and stuff like that. You can probably do that. I see people make wacky tracks. Really quick, how does it sound now? Does this sound a lot better?
It sounds a little better.
Still a little, there's still a little bit more
Real
crickets, but it's all good.
GN, thank you for the $2 super chat. Getting back to talking about the race itself, though. Says Iceberg was right. RCR is back after all. I did not say they were back. I said they're coming back. They're not back all the way. I mean, let's not pretend that this wasn't a good strategy call that won the race and not a fast car.
I mean, I gotta ask you guys this though. I mean, Austin Dillon at this point in his career, I mean. Here's the thing. He's not winning races on a weekly basis. I mean, this is like just an anomaly, I guess, for a while now. But I don't know. It's like he's definitely been running better, and I say running better, like not necessarily finishing better, because one thing leads to another, and it's like he's not able to finish out these races. But would you say is he considered a late bloomer, or do some still consider him a bust at this point? I'm not sure.
This has been consistently one of his best seasons I can recall from him. And I'm really still kicking myself for not having him on my fantasy team. I had him on there, and I took him off. So
yeah, I mean, I was looking up his stats, and I was looking up his average finish around the 16 to 17, 0.9 range. And looking back, that's right around where he ran around 2015. So like, my question was, well, is Austin really like? Was he really the catalyst for why they weren't running well, or was the team as a whole just in this whole rebuilding process?
I think it's more honestly just the equipment, because if you look at it, he's won championships in both trucks and the Xfinity series. He was still winning some Xfinity races for RCR when he was struggling in Cup. So I mean, the guy's not a bad driver by any means.
Yeah, I don't think he's necessarily bad might not be as bad as people think, but. I mean, some of these wins. I mean, the first two wins obviously fuel mileage, and then the whole, Eric Almirola fiasco in the final lap of the 500, and then it was another strategy call. I'm like, at some point, it's like you kind of have to give him a little bit more credit than usual, because, I mean, you still have to be in those positions. He had to save fuel to win the race, and then, the whole 500, I'm just going to exclude that one. I just thought that was completely out of line what he did on that final lap. But again, it's like coming to the final lap of the 500, I guess it's like anything goes. Some people might not view it that way. And then also the whole strategy call, too. I mean, Tyler Reddick, I think, has really pushed him. Like to another level, definitely pushed them to that team, because they're like, damn, Tyler Reddick comes in here immediately and starts running well like that. Oh, yeah, that had to.
Guys,
I'll put it like this.
We're halfway through. We gotta kind of.
Okay.
As I'm just looking at the wasp that's sitting on here right now, and I'm realizing that if I sit next to this thing longer than the 2-hour span, he's gonna expire my little lease here.
Well, real quick before we end this, I just want to say one more thing on Austin Dillon. He is 30 years old, which means he's going to be around. He's going to be able to race quite a while longer. And over at RCR, it definitely seems like Mike Dillon seems to be heading in a direction where he could be leading RCR, even if Richard Childress eventually goes away from the team. So
yeah, that's what it's looking like.
I think if we're looking at it in the long run, we could see in the next 10 years a year where it just seems like Austin Dillon is this veteran of the sport one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, might be one of those journeyman drivers, happens to get a few more wins under his belt. I don't know. He's never going to be like a championship contender to me, at least right now.
Well, we say that now. It could be like a Truex situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He went how many years before he was a championship contender?
Yeah, you never know.
10 years. 10 years.
Mm-hmm. It's been a minute. But yeah.
That's the last decide to come right here. Mr. Antan, thanks again from $99. Says his win was fluky, no tire wear. That was a big problem. Then GN says Custer or Austin Dillon's win, which was more fluky. Time will tell for Cole Custer. I think I don't think you make a comparison right now.
I'll say Cole. He only had to hold him off for 2 laps. Austin actually had to hold him off for quite a few laps. So.
And then really quick, so we had the ratings, 1.71 rating with 2.7 million viewers. Can't compare it though with last year just because of the different dates and everything overall. And by the way, 350 watching as we hit halfway. Click that like button,
Click
y'all.
the like button,
Click that
guys.
like button.
And Gregson's about to come in. He's having these password issues again. And
Again?
I don't know
What is
what
with
I don't know what's up with Zoom today, guys. We come in, and then all of a sudden we have mic problems. I have camera problems. I have to change it to this HD setting. And then we try to get Jesse in and had some password stuff. So I don't know.
Well, really quick, I'll go through a few comments until. Oh, never mind. Noah's coming in right now.
Oh, there he is.
Go through a few things till Noah gets in.
Right.
See, that's what we have to do. We have to plan to do stuff, and then it'll fix itself.
That's why we need a producer.
Yeah. Someone come produce our show.
Oh, he's sideways.
Work for free, please.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up? How's it going, Noah? How's it going, man?
How are you guys?
I'm good, man.
Good.
Pretty good, man.
You're sideways right now, but
There you
you're
go.
good.
There it
There
is.
you go. Now you're good.
Nice.
Is this better?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
better.
it's all good, man. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, it's good, man.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Chat's just blowing up right now for you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's always good, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. Hold on.
oh, there he goes.
Oh, he's got some. He's
All
getting
right.
some
Thank you to
before
Noah
it starts.
Gragson for joining the show
sure.
this week.
Turn the light on.
There we go.
I don't know if it did any
I
difference.
didn't know what to say.
It's all good,
I didn't
man.
notice nothing.
Really quick, let's just get right into it then. Thanks for being on the show. Just to start off with, really just to start off, how can you kind of explain like how's your season been so far, and sort of take us through that so far?
Well, it's definitely had its ups and it's had its downs, for sure. I think that's pretty obvious. If for the people who have watched it, it's been definitely a character building season for sure. I've learned a lot, and we've had some success, and I've also been down in the deep end as well. So, with that being said, it's one of those deals where I have a good opportunity. But man, I'm just having fun this year, just trying to race my ass off pretty much every single lap, and it's kind of bit me sometimes, but I just try to put on a show every single time I get out on the racetrack, and put on a show for the fans and make it exciting. So there's some things I need to clean up on my end, obviously, but I felt like we've been in contention really every single race. And so with that being said, it's been a lot of fun, and we still got, I think, halfway to go right now. So I'm excited for the second half of the year.
You know, Noah, following your career since the KBM days, really back in 2017. 2017 was definitely kind of a struggling season. You missed the playoffs, but then you rebound the next year, make the Final Four there, end up finishing second, and we're starting to see something similar in Xfinity. Last year 0 wins, but like this year, already have 2 in the win column. So I gotta ask, is it like with you? Is it one of those things where it's like you need to get accumulated to the different levels of competition, or is it just one of those rookie learning curves?
I think the competition definitely, the level of it steps up every year when you move up, or every series you move up. But I think the thing that I kind of struggled with the most, and it takes me about a year, I've seen kind of that common trend, is I went from the K&N series where you're racing on short tracks and it's your traditional, you get used to racing that stock car. I ran in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series, or I guess the ARCA series now, NARCA, whatever you want to call it. I used to run in that for 2 years. And so I got really comfortable driving those cars. And we went to Iowa, we went to Phoenix, some other tracks. I didn't go to Dover my first year, but I went to Dover my second year. Bigger tracks like that. So I got comfortable with that style car. Then you move up into the truck series. Obviously, there's a lot more pressure. There's a lot of pressure that comes on with Cowbush Motorsports. But I got so comfortable racing the K&N car that when I moved up into the truck series, I wanted the trucks to feel like the cars did. And it took me that year to figure out, okay, this is what the truck needs to feel like when it's good. And this is what you need when on a mile and a half and whatnot. So I struggled really bad on mile and a half my rookie year in the truck series. But race by race started to gain confidence, started to learn more, started to figure it out. And then we move on to the second season, and I just go into the the season really not questioning how is this truck supposed to feel on these tracks. I haven't been to a lot of these tracks, so I mean, I lay in bed. I remember before I go to these tracks for the first time, and I'm like, man, is there going to be a bump here, a crack here? How's it going to affect the handling of the car? And you're kind of guessing at that point. There's no real moment that you, or any opportunity you have, you can do all the sim time and everything. But until you feel it in real life and in that race car, you know, we go to these tracks really once per year. Some of the tracks we went back to twice, I think Martinsville, Texas, but other than that, you go there once. So with that being said, you go to the track the next year and you don't have to lay in bed thinking, where's this bump or crack going to be? You already know where it is. So then you can really focus on racing instead of just trying to figure the racetrack out. So definitely had to change my driving style again when I moved from trucks to the Xfinity series. I think we've gained a lot of speed this year as well at the Junior Motorsports stable, really all 4 cars. Obviously I gained a lot of confidence and whatnot. I figured out I've definitely changed my driving style from the beginning of last year to the beginning of this year. Just how I drive it off into the corner, my hands, you know, the aero effects are a lot different and the way you have to modulate the throttle and whatnot. So it's definitely been a big challenge for me trying to learn the different cars and whatnot. But right now it's just all about going fast and trying to win races now that I feel comfortable.
You've definitely taken a pretty big step forward from last year. This year, running up front a whole lot more, already got those 2 wins. I want to ask, since you've been vocal about the fact that you're in a contract year and you're not sure what the future holds for you and you're kind of racing like you're not sure what the future holds for you, how difficult is that to race? Does that drive you when you're going to the racetrack each week, or is that something that kind of is in the back of your mind? Do you feel like that's almost a distraction to your racing each week?
I don't know if I'd call it a distraction. I don't know if it's a distraction or if it's more motivation, but it's definitely one of those things where you need to stand out. And sometimes, like right now, these past couple of weeks, I've been kind of driving over my head, trying to stand out, instead of taking a top 5 finish, I want to go for the win. I've been going to the racetrack just to win races, you know, and that's kind of hurt me these last couple of weeks. So I'm taking a different approach coming up here for Kansas. Obviously, that's a track where you get right up against the wall. But for me, yeah, it's I don't know if it's a distraction or more motivation. I think it might be a little bit of both. But for me right now, like I said, it's just trying to go as fast as possible and trying to run up front and trying to make a name for myself, you know. I think there's a lot of team owners watching the Xfinity series right now in the Cup series, and that's the ultimate goal. But I don't want to rush my career too fast or too early. I don't really we're working on next year's plans and whatnot. And but right now I'm just trying to take it race by race and trying to do the best job as possible.
No, I got to ask, a couple weeks ago, you was making headlines for probably not the best reason with Mr. Burton. Have you had a chance to sit down and talk with him any since then?
No, I haven't talked to Harrison yet, but it's been, I guess, good publicity for both of us. I mean, we were on Sports Center and stuff. Obviously, I'm not really a guy who likes to fight. I just like to go to the racetrack. And but it came down to that when we were at Kentucky. So, you know, I got to stand up for myself. But, people kept on saying if they're talking good about you or talking bad about you, it's still publicity. So, I don't know. I try to take it as a positive, learn from the mistakes that were made. I don't know if the mistakes off the racetrack were made, but I felt like I probably could have done a little different things there at those races and whatnot. So I'm just trying to learn from each and every day and take everything as positive right now.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. But
no, you're good. You're good. It's the elephant in the room, you know? So it was quite entertaining. I hope you guys liked it. I don't know if you did, but
it was a pretty good punch, man.
I mean, I'll just say it was pretty solid. I wouldn't mess with you after that one.
The first one,
oh, go ahead.
The first one got him kind of in the ear, back of the head, but the second one going down,
That was one we didn't see on camera. So
Yeah,
pretty good.
Let me just say this really quick. No, like I've seen like a ton of sports fights. I mean, like usually like when I describe NASCAR to people, like, you know, they're like, well, yeah, like are these guys really athletes? And I'm like, yeah, these guys train a ton, like 3-4 times a week, or, you know, if not even more and stuff. And it's like, you know, some of these guys are pretty shredded too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when I was showing my friends that fight, they were like, whoa, they fight like this hard, like this. Well, it's been I mean, because I haven't seen a fight like that ever. You know, where like they're actually going to blows. It's usually just the little, you know, tussling and the pushing and stuff. But damn, when you were like punching each other, I was like, oh, okay, like this is serious. But yeah, it's definitely entertaining.
It looked better than John West Townley a few years ago.
Yeah,
so.
oh yeah, yeah, 10 times better.
Yeah, it was definitely a different kind of fight. You know, it wasn't really hugging. It was more thrown. But yeah, I had a lot of buddies back in Vegas, where I'm from too, that were all pumped up about the fight and everything. And they're not like huge NASCAR fans, but they're like, dang, I could get into this if this is what it is. So
yeah, most definitely.
So you're talking about that's kind of elephant in the room. There might be another elephant in the room. So they showed on NBC. You've been collected in a lot of incidents this year. I think they said at one point like 12 of the 16 races or something like that, or 12 incidents in 16 races. And even to the point where your boss, Dale Jr., actually had said that like you were at fault for what happened between you and Herbst. Has there been any talk behind the scenes, like just like what if like, you know, Junior or Kelly Earnhardt or whoever at JRM, like what's kind of the talk with your driving this year behind the scenes?
Yeah, I felt like that was kind of like a false like stat. I feel like I've been involved with maybe 4 or 5 on-track deals, but I mean, I got dumped on a restart at the Indy road course, and they called that one of them. And like I spun in front of the field at Talladega, so like just kind of stuff happens. I don't know if like I think it's kind of misleading. Like I'm not out there trying to wreck everyone or anything. Like Texas was the most patient I've ever been at the start of the race, and I was following Riley, and there you're like wide open center of the corner all the way to exit off of turn 4. So I wasn't expecting him to like lift out of the gas. It's one of those deals where like I followed him for 2 laps and whatnot, and kind of had some disagreements with kind of the broadcast and everything after looking at the data and showing that we were in the gas, and then he lifts, and then by that time I lift and it's already too late. So talked to Dale about that on Monday. We had a good probably 2.5 hour long conversation just about really not even about the on-track stuff, more just about life in general, growing up, kind of experiences that he's been in the past, and just talking and getting to know each other more. And he's been a great help to me in my career, and he's kind of showing why he said some of the things he said. So there's definitely a lot of positivity over at Junior Motorsports. I don't think anybody's like holding their finger out like, oh, you're messing up. It's more, how can we be productive and how can we learn from the mistakes and whatnot. So it's definitely a great atmosphere over there right now. Dale, as the team owner, said he's got my back no matter what. But as the broadcaster, he feels like he can't be biased up in the booth, maybe like some other people.
Gordon,
he said. So
we can imagine who that might be we're talking about.
That's just a quote from him, is he doesn't want to be biased.
Me watching this from afar, Noah, like I listened to what Dale Jr. said on the download referring to this whole situation, and he sounds like, you know, he's your boss, and he sounds like, generally what I heard from him, he sounds like he sees a little bit of him old self in you. And I think you can probably see that too. And, you know, you're how old are you now? I'm sorry.
I just turned 22 last week.
So you're younger than I am. You know, you got a long ways to go still.
Yeah. I'm trying. Definitely a good guy to learn from, though. If you want to learn from somebody, he's one of the best. He's gone through a lot of situations, so definitely fortunate to have him kind of in my circle, you know.
Yeah, that's a good person to be learning from.
Yeah, most definitely. I think another way you probably learned how to drive was obviously through video games, because some of these moves I see, it's like, yeah, I would totally make that move in like a, yeah, see, there you go. See,
I was just playing Dirt 3 before this.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like some of the moves you make on the racetrack. I'm like, yeah, I would definitely do that against like maybe online, and definitely against the AI. Like, so kind of talk about, your whole love for NASCAR console gaming.
Yeah, so I really started. So I started racing in 2012. Bandoleros out at the bull ring, where you've been a lot of times. That's actually where I met you, at the bull ring.
Yeah,
I remember.
A long time ago.
I was up in the booth, and so that was pretty cool that I was able to meet you in person there a few years back. And so I was racing Bandoleros there in 2012, and then I really didn't like watch much NASCAR before that. I was always into the X Games stuff, but I always liked any motorsports. I liked NASCAR, Formula One, IndyCar. Whenever I saw it on TV as a kid, I would always watch it. So it was one of those things where I started racing the Bandoleros at the bull ring, and I'm like, man, this is fun. I like this stuff. So I obviously played the MX versus ATV games and all that stuff growing up, and then became a big fan of playing NASCAR Inside Line. Myself, Riley Herbst, and Zane Smith, we all were on the same Legend Car team growing up when we were 13 years old, 14 years old, back in 2000. I think it was 2013 and 2014 was when we were all teammates. So we'd always, Zane would come in from California. Riley and I went to the same school. We were best friends ever since 5th grade. And we'd all play NASCAR Inside Line, like at Auto Club and Atlanta. We'd always play Sonoma, places like that. So I was always really a big fan of NASCAR Inside Line. That's probably been my favorite console game for NASCAR.
It's been the best one in a long time.
I can't really say anything about the recent ones. I'll probably get in trouble, but I like.
It's okay.
That's our job.
You don't have to. We can stop worry about.
I'm gonna play a NASCAR game.
But hey, at least you're into new ones. So
yeah, at least
yeah,
that.
I know. How about that's probably the coolest. One of the coolest accomplishments. Like a really humbling feeling. It's like you're like, damn, I want. Like I went from being in NASCAR Inside Line, customizing cars and everything in the paint booth, and spending hours and hours and hours as a 14-year-old kid playing on my PlayStation or Xbox, to now not having to make the cars and seeing myself on the game. So that was probably one of the coolest accomplishments really of my life. Is I always dreamed of being in a video game, and now it's reality. So it's kind of that like holy shit moment. Like this is real,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Not a doubt. So you talked about Dale Jr. and how obviously being team owner, how important he is to kind of you growing as a driver. But are there any other drivers either growing up across multiple motorsports or even today that you kind of look up to, or that you often kind of see as mentors, or you try to model your driving style after?
I see, that's a difficult question for me when it comes to the driving style part. I don't really know who my driving style compares to. Like, I haven't really put much thought into what guys' driving styles are. It's more the personality side and guys I would cheer for. It's really hard to compare driving styles, in my opinion, just because there's so many different things. But the guys that I looked up to, it's more that natural feel. Like when you're in the car, it just kind of is natural. You kind of have your own techniques and things about you that happen in the car. But the guys that I looked up to as a kid really weren't any NASCAR drivers in particular. It was Travis Pastrana. I was always a really big Travis Pastrana fan as a kid. I would go to the Nitro Circus Live at Vegas and everything, and watch all his videos on YouTube and watch the X Games and everything. So was really into that, and was really a big fan of how he was. I met him in person a couple times, and I was like, damn, like I'm a nobody, and this is like a legend right now that I'm in person with. And he treated me like he knew me forever. Like I was just, and he was a normal guy. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. If I can ever get to a level where people are supporting me and rooting for me, and I have fans behind me, that's the one thing that I've always tried to do. I know a lot of people kind of misjudge me at sometimes, but like the thing I always think about is, man, I wish I could just meet him in person to like, just to talk with him and whatnot, and try and replicate kind of what Travis did for me. And that's what made me such a big fan of his. So I feel like I have a lot of loyal supporters of mine. And then I feel like I have a lot of people who are on the other side of the fence for me that aren't really that happy about me. So I just want to be nice to everyone and meet everyone and just go out of my way to hang out and talk to them when I see them.
Well, just speaking from some experience, you can't make everyone happy, so it's just a losable battle.
Yeah.
Just saying.
It is a losable battle. I'm sure you guys, you guys are really popular right now, and you guys have really grown your channels. It's been cool to follow you guys and see your guys' growth. It's taken off like
Thank you.
This last year or two. So that's been really cool to see. I'm sure you guys all get the hate too, and it's hard. Like I gotta bite my tongue a lot of the time, and not say what's on my mind. But if I could say what I was thinking, I'd probably get in a lot of trouble. So I try to bite my tongue.
All I'll say is get you some people you can talk to in private, because sometimes you just need someone to vent to.
That's right. Exactly. The keyboard warriors. They probably, a lot of them wouldn't say it to your face in person. So I don't know. It is what it is. I try to just brush it off.
I will say that's like you talk about, who do you kind of mirror your driving style? Like, granted, you're still really young. You been watching for the last few years. I do see a little bit of your boss before junior Kyle Busch in you, like just a little bit, kind of the way you carry yourself sometimes and the way you drive. Like I can tell Kyle Busch had some kind of an impact on you. Yeah,
definitely. I always looked up to him and thought he was like one of the best drivers, and he would do things in a race car where it's like, damn, that's pretty cool. Like I don't know how he did that, and that's kind of like not what I focus on. I don't really know how to word it, but it's one of those things that's kind of in the back of my head. Like I remember I was racing at Iowa in a truck race, and like a lot like what you guys were saying earlier, kind of that video game style racing where you'd be on a console game, a NASCAR game, and you might throw it down to the bottom 4 wide and maybe use a guy and get your right side up against his left side, and kind of 8 tires are better than 4 kind of deal. And sometimes it'll work and sometimes it wouldn't, but when it would work, it'd be like, damn, that's pretty cool. So, I mean, like NASCAR games, you can always like run it into the wall and hold it wide open. So that's what I tried to do at Iowa in a truck race one time. And I did a big slide job on Brett Moffitt, for the win, coming to the checker flag in 3 and 4, and slid him, and I carried too much speed. I didn't think I was going to be able to clear him, and I cleared him by like 10 car lengths. So definitely would, if I could do it again, I think I could have probably done a better job at that. But hey, you can't say I didn't try. That's the one thing I like to say.
Just got to send it, dude.
That's right. Exactly. It's kind of that a lot of risk, but there's a lot of reward if it works out,
Well, really quick before we let you go, the fans have been asking a lot of questions in the chat, so I picked 3 of them here. First one from Nicholas Gray. He left a $5 super chat. He asked, how off guard were you when Kyle was on the radio at Bristol?
I wanted to hear this.
So I knew that I thought I heard that him and Kurt were going to be on the broadcast, but the thing is, when you have the helmets, like I know Kyle's voice, like if he was standing in another room behind a door and he was talking, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's Kyle. But when you're on the radio, they sound a lot different. And especially when, like, I have my volume set for the right noise in my helmet for my crew guys in that radio, but it seems like every single time they come on the speaker, the broadcasters come on to your radio channel, it seems so much louder. Like they crank the volume to the max, and it's like almost like you're at Taco Bell and the lady's like screaming into the mic, what I'm talking about.
I know exactly.
It sounds like that almost, and it really changes the pitch of their voice, or like it changes how they sound on the radio. So I could I couldn't really tell who it was. The only way I could tell is because I knew that it was one of those 3 guys, Adam, Alexander, or Kurt, or Kyle. And so I'm like, oh damn, it did catch me off guard. Like I wasn't surprised that it was him talking to me, but it was hard for me to understand who it was.
Now he's your former boss, but now we're on NBC. So if your boss comes on there now, you better be recognizing that one. So
I know I should, hopefully. Fingers crossed, right? Hopefully I don't go 0-2.
Another question from MV Rauner asks, is there a chance of you going to Cup in 2021, maybe the 48 car?
There's the only talks I've had about it is people saying it on Twitter that I'm in the rumor mill, but the only thing I've done over at HMS is pit practice over there. So I don't know. I'm not really involved with all those talks and everything. I haven't heard of anything, but right now it's just trying to do the best job I can to hopefully be in that group that they choose. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen over there with the 48 and everything. So there's a lot of good race car drivers, and right now I'm not really focused on all the rest of the stuff. I'm just trying to go win races, and that's the best kind of medicine you can have, I guess. I'm trying to make a name for yourself.
Even if that's not what ends up happening, and I've told my wife this, like, like me and her both want to see like some kind of news on who's getting that car right now, and if it's you, like, we'd be happy for you. But just the fact that there are fans out there that are suggesting that you might even get the chance to replace someone like Jimmy Jones, that's got to feel pretty cool for you,
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm like, dang, even be in talks about that on Twitter. Like, I mean, I dreamed of just racing a car for a living, and that's still my goal as a race car driver. I'm just a racer. I just like racing anything. Like, even if it's racing on a Xbox, like I wanna win and whatnot. Even if it's RC cars or real, like, up to the Cup Series, like I just want to race for a living. So as a kid, I always looked up to get to the Cup Series, and never ever thought I'd even get into the Truck Series or K&N Series or Xfinity Series. So hopefully one day that dream becomes a reality. But really, right now, it's just trying to focus on what I got going today and tomorrow and this week. And not try to get too ahead of my skis.
Well, one final question from the fans. It's from a fan of ours that actually has been around since the start, or around the start, from BFM Mom. Favorite track to race at and why, and your best memory at the Las Vegas Bull Ring.
Oh, yeah, that's my mom, by the way. She says hello. She's
That's
a big
your
fan
mom?
of yours. Yeah.
Oh,
she's a big fan.
I'm
big
like,
fan.
what does BFM stand for? Black Flags Matter.
Yeah.
I'm so dumb. Sorry. Well, hello. This is Black Flags Matter.
Yeah, she's gonna love that. Appreciate it.
What was it? Favorite racetrack? So I have a few favorite racetrack. Probably my all-time favorite, like if I could go race at any NASCAR track, it'd probably be Sonoma. I really want to go there. I really enjoyed racing there in the K&N Series. It's pretty rewarding race to win, I feel like. Even for a K&N race, I know that's kind of a lower tier division, but there's some Cup guys that come down to that series. I mean, Austin Dillon just won the Cup race at Texas, and he was racing in it last year at Sonoma. So probably Sonoma in a stock car. I wish we could go there in the K&N series. I also really like Dover a lot. Making laps at Dover is so much fun. And then probably, I like Winchester in a late model. I know NASCAR doesn't go there, but Winchester, Indiana, it's a really high banked racetrack, kind of like Bristol, but more banking, really bumpy and stuff. That's a pretty cool track as well. So I like those places. And then my favorite memory at the Bull Ring would probably be, I was racing a super late model there. I think it was 2017. I was racing a super late model there. It was like a 50-lap race, and all of the left front camber shims came out of the car. So what that does is, like, there's a bunch of slack in the left front, and so like the uppers and lowers and everything's moving, and it feels like basically like you have a loose wheel. And like after the race, we jacked it up, and you could like move the wheel.
Oh my god.
Or the whole tire, all the suspension. So I ended up winning that race. They fell out like halfway through the race, and the left front was like all flopping around and rattling and stuff. So I basically wasn't really driving on a contact patch for the left front, and we ended up winning the race on a late race restart. And so I had a lot of friends there, and it was really cool just to go to Victory Lane again there at the Bull Ring. It's been a place where I'll always hope to get back and race any chance I get. I love just everybody out there. I mean, it's a pretty tight group out there of people who have been there for 10s, 20s years, that have been there. So it's a cool place and a really challenging racetrack. I feel like when I was racing there week to week in the super late model division, legend cars, it seemed like it was a pretty easy, normal track. But now I go back there and it's one of the hardest tracks to get around, in my opinion. Like, it used to be just my bread and butter, so simple. And now I really have to put a lot of thought in how to get around that place. So there are a lot of great guys, a lot of great racers, and I love that place, man. It's so much fun.
I'll tell you one thing. I didn't hear you mention this, but I'm looking forward to seeing how you fare in the Xfinity race at Martinsville, considering that's where you got your first Truck Series win, too.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. It's going to be pretty interesting, especially I think they announced that there's not qualifying and no more practice for the rest of the year. So that'll be pretty cool to just – I mean, a lot of these, pretty much all of us have come up through the Truck Series or, Justin Allgaier's racing the Cup Series there. So a lot of guys have experience there. But, yeah, it's definitely going to be more confidence going there, knowing that I've had success there in the past. And I know I've got it done in the Truck Series against a lot of these guys. So if I could do it again in the Xfinity Series, that'd be pretty cool.
And also your experience is going to be more recent compared to some of them. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's going to be – hopefully we don't tear too much stuff up. It's going to be wild for sure.
It's Martinsville. It's going to be hard to do.
You know, fun fact, the last time Xfinity raced there was called the Busch Series at the time, summer of 2006. I believe it was set up.
Was it 2006?
Yeah, it was 2006. Kevin Harvick ended up dominating that race and winning, but I think it set a record for most cautions, I believe, with like 21, 22 in a single, at the time, Busch Series race. So we'll see if y'all break that. Hopefully you're not involved in any of it. But
was he in the 20 – was it like the 21 Rockwell car?
It was the Coast Guard car.
Coast Guard. Yeah, with the white, it was all red with the white. I knew it was it was the 21 car though, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I saw clips of that a while ago.
Yeah. That was the year, last year. He won the championship, but he only ever won in 21. He even ran his own 33 in a few races that year, but he never won until 2009.
Race?
Yeah, I seen some videos of, like, I don't know who posted them. Maybe it was, I don't know who posted them, but it was like the 4 truck or the 4 car for KHI and how Kevin never won in it or something. Yeah. Did he ever win in it?
I can't remember. Did he ever win?
No, he did win in the 4, but maybe not the Xfinity car. I think it was the truck. I don't know. Yeah. I watch all those videos, all you guys do on YouTube and stuff.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that.
Really quick, before you head out, I just want to say the time that at Daytona before the race this year is where I met you. And before the race, we were like, Darren and I were just backstage behind all the intros and stuff. We saw you're sitting there just jamming out. What's your pregame songs that you listen to? What's on your playlist?
I don't know. I've been using like Pandora. Like, I'm not very good at like just finding new songs. So like I'll use like Pandora and I'll listen to like trap rap radio or like Cole Swindell. I like country music too. I've started to listen to that. So I like Cole Swindell a lot. And then I've also recently, like, I've never like listened to this stuff and I'm not really like into this kind of music, but I've been listening to like Blink 182 and like stuff like that, 3 Doors Down and everything like that.
You sound like me. You just like a little of everything.
Do what?
You sound like me, just a little of everything.
Yeah, same here.
Like I don't really have a set like playlist or anything. It could be anything from 21 Savage to Cole Swindell to 3 Doors Down to Taylor Swift, So
it's all over.
I'm all over the place. I got ADD and it just depends on what I'm really feeling in the moment, But yeah, I remember you guys. You guys were like, I was up on the stage and I was looking at you guys. You guys were right in front of
Yeah, we were just chilling back there. We were talking to like everyone there. Like, I mean, because at the time it was like rare for us to even be at like some of these races. And this year we've been to like just so many this year, especially before the pandemic. And yeah, we saw you were just freaking headbanging. And then I was looking over at freaking Jarrett, and I was like, yeah, I think he's got a great car because he just seems so relaxed. I mean, you're just like head bumping too.
Yeah, you're just sitting there. You're like,
you had headphones though, and the headphones were just swinging out on the wind. I'm like, yeah, you need some AirPods, bro. But then I think you changed it up the next.
I know. I had the cord ones.
Yeah.
And then I told myself, when I win, I'll get some AirPods. And so then I got AirPods for Vegas and ended up not doing so hot. So maybe I need to go back to the cord ones or something. That was giving me some good luck, you know?
Well, what did you have at Bristol?
I did have the AirPods in there, but I don't think I listened to any music.
Yeah, they're
I
fine
don't
then.
think I listened to any music there. I don't know. I forgot. Bristol was weird. Standing on pit road before the race with the national anthem and everything. Normally you're so far away with the infield and the grandstands being so far away at 1.5 miles, where at Bristol, like the stands are right on top of you, and it was like crickets when they were doing it, you know. Normally you got all the fans cheering you on and stuff. So it was definitely a weird moment when we raced there in Xfinity.
Well, no,
hopefully that won't have to last too much longer. So
yeah, hopefully not.
I know, right? Fingers crossed. Hopefully it ends tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm over
on that. No, thank you, man, for coming on, though.
No, thank you guys.
Staying on with us. Well, your Twitter is in the description right now, but where else can people find you?
Like Instagram, Snapchat. I don't really use Facebook. TikTok I've been using. You guys got TikTok?
Yeah, yeah, I'm on there.
I exist, but I don't do anything. I just watch.
I'm so addicted to that. Like I'll be like sitting on there for like 2 hours at night, laying in bed, and I won't even know it. Like
it's a time machine.
Videos. I'm so addicted.
Yeah, time flies.
But yeah, all my stuff is at Noah Gragson on all that stuff. Gragson. So I try to have fun with it, and I'm probably not the most cookie cutter guy out there, so I try to have as much fun as possible.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's a time machine, man. Like you'll sit there and it's like 5 o'clock at night. Next thing you know, you look over and it's 1 a.m. Like it's
terrible. I did it last night. I stayed up till 4 a.m. I went to bed at like 11. Just
like you just keep scrolling through. It's like, okay, I'll only watch 1. Then 1 turns into 10, and then 100, and then you just keep going on and on.
It's like Facebook videos or like YouTube videos. You'll go on there and watch some NASCAR race, and then you'll be looking at 3 hours later how to build a house out of toothpicks or something.
Straight up. It's like, how did I get here? Yeah,
I'll tell you what, the absolute worst one for me is that I'll turn on some kind of like the top McDonald's items that will go away this year.
Yeah, it's the worst. Like all that stuff, they got it down. Or when you'll be talking to your friend about something and then you'll get an ad about what you were just talking about on like Facebook. Have you guys noticed that at all?
Oh yeah. No, we learned about that in school actually last month. You know, they'd be using all your freaking data, and it's like, hey, well, we saw you bought this, so buy this type mess.
Well, it's like I've noticed, like for us, we're NASCAR videos. So if there's like a NASCAR ad that's being ran, like Symbicort did with Austin Dillon last year, well, that was on all of our videos all the time, and it wouldn't be on anything else, just us.
Damn. Yeah, it's crazy. They know they're hacking or something. They're doing something. They got the AI figuring it out, typing all the cheat codes to figure it out, you know?
We're watching.
Definitely.
But yeah, Noah, thank you so much for being on, man.
Yeah,
it was
thank you
awesome
guys.
having you.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. Let me know if you guys ever need another guest. I'd love to be on. I had a lot of fun.
How about this? When you make the Final 4 this year, we'll have you on that week. How about that?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do
all
it.
right.
For sure.
I'll write it down.
Thank you.
Anyways,
go ahead. I tell you what, you said you like country music and everything. Obviously, we're going to Nashville Super Speedway. You need to try to come out a few days before that and get you all the Nashville country music, all that stuff in.
Yeah.
I want to. I was laying in bed last night. Cole Swindell FaceTimed me, and he was like, "Man, you need to come out to Nashville." I'm like, holy shit, why are you FaceTiming me right now, man? You know, like I met him after the Daytona race this year, and I don't really remember it because I had a few White Claws or something. So we were celebrating pretty hard, but yeah, I guess I got his number, and he FaceTimed me yesterday, and I was like, damn, this is really him. So it was cool. But yeah, we'll have to all go hang out there when we go to Nashville next year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Heck yeah. Well, I appreciate it, boys. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. Thank you so much,
yeah, best
Gragson,
of luck, guys.
Yep, and also good luck to you the rest of this season.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Later, man.
Later,
Take care.
See ya.
Yeah. That was a fun interview. You know, I think, honestly, to be honest with you, from what I see on social media, people already have their preconceived notions about Noah Gragson. But I mean, him coming on here, I mean, he's like any one of us too. I mean, he's a young kid, he's up and coming. Yeah, sure. I mean, he even admitted he races in over his head sometimes. You know, I mean, the kid's still learning. You know, personally, I think he's a lot more talented than some people might give him credit for. You know, at the same time, though, he's still trying to find his footing in this series. So, I mean, good luck to him. He's already putting together a much better season compared to last year. So, I mean, a Final Four appearance is definitely not out of the question.
And real quick, I want to go through these super chats because we do have a lot of stuff. We're probably going to go just a little bit over tonight, but we'll make it work. So I want to thank Mr. Antian asking me and Darian who our favorite active drivers are. I guess Jimmy Johnson, Tyler Reddick. There's so many. I don't have a favorite now.
I mean, look.
Right now, Noah Gragson.
I mean, ever since Junior retired, y'all, I just appreciate the sport. So I don't really got a favorite like that, to be honest with you.
Anyone but that stupid Bowman guy.
I know.
All right. Jimbo, thanks for $2. Says the Graginator is here. Man, I sound a bit like Vince Welch there. Looking to see. I wish I could have asked this one. $1.99. Thanks, Mr. Antiant. Noah, can you explain the K&N stare into the camera? We should have asked about that.
I remember that.
Let's see.
Next time.
Derek Cope, thanks for the $4.99. Says John Mustanley couldn't beat up a chicken finger in Zach sauce. Carl Singleton, thanks for the $5, man. Says for Darian, who is your GOAT of NASCAR?
Oh, my GOAT? Oh, let's see. I mean, personally, my own personal GOAT, it's Jimmy Johnson, just because in this era, to win 7 championships in, I want to say, 3 or 4 different points formats, that's insane on its own to really talk about that, and to have the same crew chief, the same sponsor during that whole time. Obviously, they had to, mix and match with, different pit crews, different teams, But yeah, Jimmy Johnson, that's my personal GOAT right there. I mean, I know some people will say Earnhardt, Petty, but I didn't really watch them grow up like that. So my personal GOAT, Jimmy Johnson.
You need to read this $10 one really bad.
I will. I'm saving the best for last year. Troy Johnson, thank you for the $4.99. Says I want Noah's gamer tag so we can race each other online. Let's see. Joshua Campos, thank you for the $5 Canadian. As a new fan, what should you specifically watch for when I watch on TV? Just try and pick up the lingo. That's the big thing. Once you do that, it makes it so much more fun. Just have it be a learning experience. And if you're following someone, just follow them on the leaderboard, stuff like that. And then, yes, the $10 super chat. Thank you so much to Craig Estepp. Thank you, Mr. Estepp. It was nice to meet you this weekend, by the way, or this week. It says, great interview. It was great seeing you guys at Bristol. It was really fun seeing you out there, sir.
Yeah, definitely a cool format. Yeah, appreciate it. Was that the guy we were talking to forever, or was this somebody else?
That was my dad.
Oh, damn, that's right. Wait, hold up. Did you? I didn't hear the E-step. It was like my freaking audio was crackling and stuff. No, it was cool meeting his dad, bro. I didn't hear the E-step part, but no, Mr. E-step, it was so nice to talk to you for a brief time. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the rest of your time out in the beautiful mountains of Tennessee. But yeah, no, I didn't mean that. No disrespect.
We could just end it right there.
Yeah, we talked to so many
people. We could have just ended it right there. Then thank you, Chris St. John, for the $4.99. Says, hey guys, it would be great if one of you guys could check out the podcast that he and a couple friends have started, NASCAR Hotspot. I'll write that down, man. I'll check it out.
NASCAR Hotspot. Got you.
All right, yeah, and then. Oh, and thank you, Mr. Antiant, for the $1.99. Sorry, $1.99. Says no more practice. Kyle Busch ain't winning. Ooh, hot take. So I guess that could actually lead right into the topic. The next topic, real quick. No practice for Truck Xfinity Cup for the Daytona road course and then just in general. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
So first off, my first thought was RIP to Morgan Shepherd Racing, because I think that just pretty much puts them out of business. I think because like that was their whole deal. Yeah, that was their whole deal. Is like they get those fees and the funding, through these practice and qualifying sessions. And unfortunately, due to world circumstances, it seems as if they're going to be ran out of business, and that's so sad because it was just always one of my favorite underdog teams. And just talking with Morgan personally, like he gave me like a little penny with like a cross in the middle, and I was like, oh, what is this? Like I had no idea, and I was like, wow, like he just had a bunch of those things too. Really a down to earth guy, and to make matters even like better with that team, you had Landon Castle running those races too. So it's unfortunate. It looks like that they might be done for. I would hope that and pray that that's not the case, but I mean, that's looking like the reality right now, unfortunately, with no practices and stuff. And also the second major point, what the hell is going to happen at this road course, this Daytona road course? All right, now, look, Gragson and Little, they talk about, hey, iRacing, that's our baby, you know what I mean? We basically practice on that sim thing like 24/7. I get that. But then, like, the reality is, though, and you could get banned on iRacing for even saying this, but luckily I'm not even on iRacing, so I don't have to worry, is that it's not the same thing. It's just not the same thing. I mean, like, there's just a bunch of differences between the two. So you can practice on iRacing at this road course, but then once you actually get in the car, no practice or qualifying, I can see someone is going to they're going to jump the brakes in turn one, or they're going to overdrive the first corner and bam, and then also this is, a very important time in the season. The teams, they weren't really planning to race here to begin the season. Then also you have to put into the fact that, we're getting down to crunch time. We're about halfway through the season. The playoffs are about to start in a couple weeks here. I mean, in a few weeks here. So to have someone's playoff chances messed up because of someone's, stupidity, because, hey, we didn't practice or whatever, I got mixed feelings about that. I know NASCAR wants to go for entertainment, and I think that's kind of where they're going here. But also, they're trying to save the team some money here and some resources, because we had Tommy Joe on a couple weeks ago, and he was basically going on and on about, yeah, they definitely need to make these practices shorter. But I guess the point is, couldn't we have just put maybe a small little 30-minute or maybe even an hour session for, all the series, because you got ARCA racing there. And you mean to tell me ARCA's going to race there with no sort of practice and stuff? It's going to take ARCA.
I didn't think it was ARCA. No, I didn't think ARCA was included in that.
Oh, no, I
just
thought
top
it was
three
ARCA.
Series.
I thought
top
it was
three
ARCA
series.
and
Top 3 series.
It's not ARCA? Someone do that research. Someone research that for me. I thought ARCA was racing there.
Anyway, this isn't though just the road course either for Daytona. The problem, you also have to look at the playoffs and the championship too. There's 3 races in each round for Cup and just in general, and then you have that one race besides the championship, and with no practice and nothing like that, if somebody completely misses the setup, that could derail their entire season.
On the bright side, on the bright side, at least majority of the races kind of like in the run up to the final, like even the championship race itself, we have went to already, so they can kind of take some notes from what they learned there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's going to be funny as hell, though. I mean, for some of these wrecks. But, I mean, I don't know if I can say funny because, when these cars wreck, I mean, they are freaking dangerous. And, these engines are going to be unrestricted at, on the road course for the first time. And really Daytona for the first time since '87. So, you go barreling into the first corner going like, 210 or something, however fast these damn cars are going to go. And then someone, like hops the brakes or wheel hops it or, just makes a bonehead mistake. I mean, NASCAR. I understand.
Oh, I thought you meant the ARCA practices were canceled the rest of the year.
Oh no! I'm just talking.
I knew they were racing.
Yeah, no, I was talking about the race. Yeah.
Yeah. What about Danny, Eric? What about you guys?
I think in general, well, if we were talking about the Daytona road course specifically, I would have liked to have seen at least a little bit of practice, but I guess I understand why it's not possible. I kind of agree with you guys. I think there's the risk of some of those races being wreck fest, but I also think there's a risk that the races are just going to be super boring because everybody's going to be extremely timid and afraid to take risks. So I think there's certainly a risk that's not going to be a very fun race. As far as no practice or qualifying for the whole year, I'm personally, I wish they could have at least qualifying, especially when the playoffs roll around, because with the playoffs, every round it's like a shortened 3-race season. Every point matters way more, and these days, especially in trucks and Xfinity, with how short the opening stages are, that random draw, if you draw first, second, third position, you're almost guaranteed to get more stage points in that first stage than the guy starting 10th or 11th. And I don't really want the playoffs to come down to that, especially in the later rounds when points become tight. I get the argument as to why teams are okay with it, especially for smaller teams, that you don't have to prepare a backup car. You don't have to have as many people at the track to help prep the car from qualifying trim to race trim right before the race. There's time constraints, because if you're going to have qualifying the same day as the race to keep it a one-day show, you're going to have to do that early in the day. There's a lot of issues, sure, I can see. So I understand with the surrounding circumstances. I understand why they're not doing it. But personally, I hope they alter the random draw format somewhat before the playoffs, so that we don't have stage points being decided by ping pong balls. That's basically where I'm at there.
Same deal, man. I think I'm in the same spot with you, because with the championship right now, there's already so much that's in the balance in these rounds, and so much that can really derail a season. Especially with how short they are and how short the stages are. Like you said, this I think is just pushing it just a little too much overall. Court Racing 48, thanks for $4.99, says Daytona road course with no practice. NASCAR Heat 5 online finally got something realistic if the track even shows up. And then GN.
I'll just say for the Daytona road course, I think it was Carnation who did the controller disconnected at the Roval. He better have that one ready again.
Have that meme ready. You gotta have that meme ready, definitely.
And then GN, thank you for the $5. Says NASCAR needs to adjust the random draw. 13th in points should not be starting 24th, while 12th in points starts first in playoff races. I think they're probably going to do some kind of difference with it. Maybe just all the playoff drivers have a random draw, and then everyone underneath. Maybe I don't know how they're going to do that overall, but NASCAR's put themselves in a tough position. It's going to be interesting to see how they get out of it.
Yeah. Would we be better off just starting based on points?
I'd be fine with that, to be honest with you.
Or the idea of fast lap from the previous race, almost like an actual NASCAR heat lobby. Fast lap.
No, actually, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some races where I've seen like the guy who was like 36 ran one great lap, but that was it. So
yeah, so maybe I don't know. We'll see.
And thanks Snow V for the 99-cent super chat. Thank you very much. Really quick, so we had 2 topics before picks, and then let's just get through the lightning round really quick, because there's a lot. Most of the topics fit in the lightning round.
Okay. And once again, we're here for the quick lightning round. Jared, do your thing.
Rain tires will be brought to the Daytona road course.
Ooh,
so that can make it more interesting knowing how Florida is. But we'll more than likely, unless a hurricane hits, we'll get a race in. NASCAR Man and Brock Beard actually did a really excellent video recently on how cookie cutter tracks came to be compared to short tracks back in the day. If anyone who wants to understand how the cookie cutter phenomenon started, really need to check that out. It's a really, really good history lesson on the sport. Our buddy Ryan Vargas is going to be in the Xfinity cars this weekend at Kansas. He's been practicing on iRacing, getting that high line hooked up. So if you're going to watch the race, which I assume you are, if you're watching this, let's root for Ryan. I want to see him just I'd love to see him.
The hell out
on that note, I got to put this out here. How many people do we have watching this right now?
We got 266.
Okay,
whatever.
266 people who are watching this. Guys, they are offering Ryan Vargas' number 15 diecast. And I asked him, how is it looking for pre-orders? Guys, they will not charge you until the car ships out.
Oh, that reminds me.
I'll do it right now. Made, pre-order it.
I'm going to do it right now, actually, on my phone.
And while Darian's doing that, Bernard Pollard Jr. is on iRacing. He got an iRacing rig. Yeah. The dude's a NASCAR fan. I love it. Fox Sports earned 3.702 million average viewers for 2020. That's 1% off of 2019's 3.732 million average, including their top 2 rated races normally being rained out with the Daytona 500 and Talladega. If you just put in where they were at Daytona when the rain came in, where it was around 11.5 million, and you add that in instead, they would have been about 8 to 10% above last year. So it's just a matter of it's a matter of just rain getting in the way. I mean, we're never going to know just how successful NASCAR could have been this year had it not been for Mother Nature having a hate boner for us.
It's going to be the greatest year ever in NASCAR. And then
Darian, that was your first jinx of the year.
And that was the biggest jinx. Damn.
Photos of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s plane crash from Bristol last year have been released. It's really scary.
I'm not looking at that.
Well, no, I mean, they put it out there. The investigation's over. Yeah. Phoenix Raceway will host the 2021 NASCAR Championship weekend again. It was confirmed over the weekend. Bubba Wallace was the #1 rated Google search result for an entire week during June. So that's something that was really cool to see. I mean, I think he stood up there like longer than this year so far than Cardi B did. So that's good. Screw Cardi B. Watch the Moonhead interview with that drunk fan. It's awesome.
I love Chase Elliott.
Something money. Jimmy Johnson, he had a test for IndyCar with Ganassi that he was supposed to in the Indy Road Course. It's been moved and rescheduled to Tuesday, July 28th, 6 days from now.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah. The Nashville Fairgrounds will be on iRacing in September. I think Dale Jr. released that one. This one, great news for all. Brian France has no intentions of ever coming back to NASCAR.
Yay! Thank you. Stay away and don't let the door hit you in the ass, bub.
Andy Lally is going to run the Xfinity races at the Daytona Roval in Road America. And the Nashville City Council has approved the MLS Stadium for construction. We saw that over the weekend. They wouldn't let us through a certain area. So, yeah, that's in the works right now.
They've already tore down. There was a bunch of buildings up there where you guys saw the construction. Mm-hmm. Like, they've wiped that out. They are ready to put the stadium up.
Let me just say this. That entire area is about to be Nashville's, like, sports complex. You got your fairgrounds over here, and then you got your MLS stadium. I'm kind of getting into MLS lately since this whole pandemic stuff started. Like, I see what Real Radman's been telling me about, just about soccer in general. So I like that show. Shout out to Radman for getting me into that. Is that the end of the lightning round, though?
That is the end of the lightning round.
And that will do it for another lightning round, like my computer, for this edition of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And what do we got? Like two or one more?
Two things. All right. 2 things left. Thank you, Jake Baskinger. I wonder who that guy is.
Hi,
thank you for the $1.99. Says it's
sounds like a creep.
He was saying that over the weekend. That's pretty funny. All part of the plan.
Yeah, all part of the plan.
Playoff bubble watch. I'll just read these off really quick. Let me know your thoughts on any of these guys, if they're shocking or whatnot. So playoff bubble watch. 10 guys have won. They're in so far, unless something like an asteroid comes and hits them or something. They're pretty good to go. These guys for points, though. Eric Almirola is 11th. He's plus 109. Kurt Busch plus 108. Kyle Busch 13th, plus 95 now. Matt Benedetto, 14th, plus 51. Clint Boyer, plus 36. And Jimmy is plus 2. Guys, what do you think of any of those guys?
For Kyle Busch, plus 95. Yeah, it sounds good. But actually, if you think about it, you get like 40 points for winning. So if you have 2 races where you blow your motor, you finish dead last, you're in trouble.
Let me say this, man. Jimmy Johnson is like, he was so good for so long for a while this season. And then he had some bad luck. And then he had, COVID himself, and he had to miss a race. Now he's only 2 above the cut line. And then, facing a teammate in Willie B, who's, the supposed up-and-comer over there at Hendrick Motorsports. I mean, I kind of see it as, the clash of, the 2 top dogs. I mean, the 2 former top dogs. You got Chad Knaus over there trying to get his guy in. And then Jimmy Johnson trying to hold on, for one last dance, for one last ride in the postseason. If Jimmy Johnson misses this year's playoffs, I mean, look, I'm just saying, I know he's already said, this is my last year, I'm done, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I'd like to think he would at least consider it, maybe to an extent, maybe coming back for one more year. But I doubt it. But, Jimmy Johnson, he's a GOAT. We all know that. But, in his final year, in his swan song season, he needs to make the postseason. I can't fathom, the postseason in his final, this being his final year and he's not in it. It'll just be really shocking. Even after all of the events that's happened to him and to him personally, that would be one of the most shocking, Jimmy Johnson not making a 16-person playoff.
I'd just be nervous. Look at the guys that are outside looking in. William Byron's -2. Eric Jones in a Gibbs car is like -24. Tyler Reddick is within striking distance. And don't forget about Matt Kenseth. He's probably not going to win a race, but he almost won Indianapolis.
Yeah,
Bubba's
so right around there too. He's like 76 though, so he's got a ways to go.
Yeah, but I'm mostly worried about those first 3. I'd be shocked if Eric Jones in a contract year in a Joe Gibbs car doesn't make the playoffs. Tyler Reddick, his teammate, just won. Reddick's shown speed at times. I was so confident a month ago. I was so confident in Jimmy Johnson and all the things that have happened, some in his control, mistakes he's made, but also things outside of his control, like having to miss Indianapolis. Man, it's been a roller coaster year for Jimmy. I'm not nearly as confident as I was even just a couple weeks ago.
Hendrick overall has just been off since they've come back from the COVID break.
It happens.
Well, it's like Elliott's been okay, but even then he's had some weeks where he didn't look the same.
Yeah.
There was that 4 or 5 race stretch where I swear Elliott should have won 3 or 4 of those races. But
thank you, Blue Jimmy 48 fan, for the $2 super chat. Says hello 911. I'm having a heart attack. I don't blame you, man.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's that close. It's that close.
All of our drivers have been on the cutoff line of the Chaser playoffs before, and it is not fun as a fan.
Remember 2007 Dale Jr. That was anxiety for about that entire summer, and then
2011.
Yeah, 2011 too. Oh yeah, because
2011 is the big one.
and then he fell back like all the way back. So yeah, that was crazy.
And then thank you, Jake, for the 199. Says jinxing it before Carnation. Jimmy will win Kansas. But real quick, let's go through the 6 that are below the line. Eric, you mentioned a few of them before. William Byron is 17th, -2. Tyler Reddick, 18th, minus only 14 now. Eric Jones, -24 in 19th. Bubba Wallace, -76 in 20th. Chris Buescher, 21st, -86. And the rookie of Christopher Bell is 22nd, -102. Which of those guys is probably the most likely to get in just off of points, wins, whatever?
If I'm being honest here, a guy that wasn't even mentioned, when we go to Daytona, I'm watching that for Stenhouse. He could easily get his way into it.
He's -106. Yeah, I mean, I think Bubba on down, it's win or bust.
Yeah, pretty much. And let me say this before I give my answer here. Ryan Blaney is not a freaking disappointment this year. What's wrong with some of y'all on NASCAR Twitter? I can't stand y'all. But anyways, I just wanted to get that out the way. But if we're going to talk about guys, if we're going to talk about must-win guys, Stenhouse, that is obviously my pick right there, because Daytona, that's the cutoff race. NASCAR loves this whole entertainment game, so you're about to get some entertainment if he gets in.
And that's Stenhouse's playground right there.
And then also think about it too. He has a knack for causing these wrecks at Daytona sometimes too. So one thing leads to another, takes a guy out, and then he takes the whole field out. 2018 Coke 400. Yeah, y'all remember that one? That was crazy. So I mean, anything can happen at these racetracks. Some guys in on points might, they might get the shaft because they decide to place the race here. I don't fully agree with it, but NASCAR is going for entertainment, so that's what it's really all about. But if we're going to talk about guys who need to point their way in, who I think have a shot, Eric Jones, just based off of that equipment he's in alone, I would say is my pick. I mean, I remember Indianapolis. He was running up front. I'm like, okay, he's going to get some stage points, and then he can't help. His tire blew, correct?
What happened to his teammate afterwards? Yeah,
I mean, you can't. I mean, what do? You can't really do that. I mean, driver era can only go like so far. I mean, you can't fault a guy for blowing a tire and all that. So, but I mean, if I'll have to pick a guy who can maybe work his way back up these next few weeks, Eric Jones, that's my pick right there on the spot.
Who are you, Eric?
I kind of said earlier, if I had to pick one of the 3 or 4 right there below the cut line, I would also go Eric Jones just because I think he has the speed to point his way, and he's consistently in the top 10 when they don't make mistakes. So if he just can, I don't know how many races are left, 7 or 8. If he can top 10 half or 2/3 of them, I think he makes it in the playoffs.
That's the thing. He's the biggest shock to me just because he has been so fast this year. And like before he was having problems, he was right up there, man. It's the story of his career. The dude just doesn't have luck at all on his side. And then Wayne Montgomery, thanks for letting me know, man. Congrats. Sloppy Joe finishing 4th. Good job, man. I guess that really concludes just the playoff bubble. Last thing, Quinn Houff caused a bit of a crash. But that's not really the interesting part. The interesting part is what Brad Keselowski was saying after it about having people kind of graduate in, maybe be demoted down. I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Eric, I want to hear first what you got to think of it because I really want to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
So I did a video on it. I mean, I think it's an interesting idea what Brad Keselowski proposed. I'm not super familiar with like Formula One, but I know they have a sort of system over there. Darian, if you know more about it, you can kind of give
basically it's like, in Formula One, yeah, you got to have money to get in, you know what I mean? I mean, that's just racing in general. But I like their whole ladder system over there, overseas. Formula 3, you got to perform to a certain level, and then you got to drive a certain way too. Because Formula 1, let me tell you guys something. Like even the slightest bit of on-track contact is really frowned upon. So like, yup. So some of the fans get mad at Noah Gragson for pulling off these moves. Like if somebody pulls off those kinds of moves in Formula One, nah, there's gonna be hella track penalties, hella fines, and then they might even suspend you for a race or two. You never know. But yeah, Formula One, they have this gradual system, which I think is absolutely perfect. It's like, okay, you know, you don't have to necessarily perform the best, but if you show that, hey, I'm a clean racer, I'm consistently fast, then they'll grant you access to, okay, you have a chance to move up to Formula 2 or Formula 1 if a team will have you.
Yeah, I like the idea of you know, I don't know if I like it because I think there's a lot of gray area there. Like, how do you actually calculate when a driver is good enough to graduate from, say, Xfinity to Cup? Like, how do we actually rank that? I think the problem and the reason there's no way for it to be implemented anytime like super soon, at least not until the next gen car era, is just because today's NASCAR is so dictated by sponsorship dollars. There are a lot of teams, maybe not as frequently in the Cup Series, but there are some. But there are a lot of teams across all three NASCAR series that go with drivers who likely aren't the best competitive option, but they make the most sense because either they bring their own funding or they have, you know, that's who the sponsors will get behind. And teams these days are so dependent on sponsorship money to survive. Purse money just doesn't cut it. They need the sponsorship money as well. And as long as that's still the case, and that's so important to keeping these teams afloat, I just don't see how you can implement a system like that and make teams happy. Like, I feel like it's a bad idea to implement that kind of system because, you know, it sounds like we're piling on Quinn Houff. I don't think what Quinn Houff did on Sunday was a lack of talent. I think it was a poor judgment, which just comes with a lack of experience. But, you know, that being said, we don't see lapped cars like that cause major issues very often. The last time I can think of us talking about this was Garrett Smithley at Las Vegas last year, and he didn't really even do anything that bad. He just ran the middle lane, and Kyle Busch got kind of crossed over.
I mean, like, it's just one of those bad deals. You know, the whole Quinn Houff deal. Oh, go ahead.
I think that this, like Derek, you touched a bit on like the actual solution, I think, to all of this. Lowering the cost. I think that right there will solve a lot of problems. One, because I think lowering the cost will make it easier for more teams to be there and all, which is good. But the big thing is lowering the cost will take the requirement of like this high dollar, top dollar sponsorship off the table. And when we don't have to have money constantly piling in, you don't have to have people who are basically paid drivers coming in to fill seats when they don't, you know, they're not ready to. Like Quinn Houff is not ready for Cup at this point. I know we've all been through that, and it's not a dig at him. I mean, I personally, you know, wouldn't say that somebody like, you know, that's coming into the Xfinity Series this year who is just starting out would be ready. As a fly is ready to give me a close up.
Where's your sweat?
Here's my thing of Quinn Houff, and it can be kind of similar to if you remember back in season 1, there was a whole thing of Danny doesn't like Gray Galding. Well, it's kind of a similar thing. Gray, like Quinn, I felt like jumped up way too fast, and I mean there's nothing, you know, that he's just guilty of that. You know, you can't have it, you can't take it back. Now he's getting to be a point where he's a little bit more respectable out there. Here, I just ran the numbers on Quinn Houff. He's ran 35 Cup races over the last 2 seasons. That equals out to how many starts he's had in all lower series, according to Racing Reference. By the end of the season, he will have made 53 Cup Series races, way more than he has ever ran in all of the lower series.
And that's ridiculous. It shouldn't be like that, but it's gotten to the point of money.
I do want to say this, though. I saw some people talking about, he don't know what he's doing because that's the worst thing I ever saw. And I got to say this. 2 words, Kevin LePage. Yeah. It came at a time where he was definitely a very experienced driver.
I mean, some of that stuff happens. It happens to the best of us. I mean, in Quinn Houff's case, I don't think it's fair to put it fully on him because – first off, I don't know what the hell was up with his mirror. I mean, drivers use that sometimes to see if they're clear or not, you know, if they don't have much spotter help, I guess. But then it's like, you know, you also have a spotter up there. And, you know, look, I'm not a spotter, so I don't want to freaking, like, you know, get on a guy or judge a guy. But, I mean, I think some of that blame has to go to a spotter. It can't just go on Quinn Houff. Obviously, yeah, Quinn Houff's the driver. So, yeah, people are going to point the finger, and then they're going to look at his past history and be like, yeah, you. And it's gotten so bad to the point where even NASCAR's stepping in, and even Brad Keselowski's stepping in, and he's like, yeah, we need to change something up. And I agree with him partly. But the thing is, it's all about money, man. So like, if you got a kid who has no experience, and I mean, like, and your team desperately needs the money, then you're obviously going to go with the money. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
Well, and I understand why Keselowski and Kyle Busch have been as vocal and upset with it. One, they're just vocal people. They're not going to hide what they think about stuff. But it's just a matter of like, you work your ass off. And these, make no mistake, you can say whatever you want about Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski.
They earned their right.
They worked their ass off, and they are extremely talented and deserve to be up there. And so I can understand having I won't call it being as much a gatekeeper, just as much as just being very protective of the label of a cup driver. And I can understand that. I think, like I said, lowering the cost of running or getting more money in there so that sponsorship is not as prevalent of a thing that you need, I think is it's easy on paper. It's hard to do in reality. But if NASCAR can get it to be like that, at any level, I think that it would really take a lot of these issues out. And I think that it would also mean that a lot of people who deserve to be there can graduate up there just, naturally.
And lastly, it's a safety issue too. I mean, if you got a guy who you don't feel like is going to be there, you're obviously going to race a little bit differently. I mean, hearing some radio chatter, back when Danica was racing, there'd be some guys being like, oh God, there's the 10, you know what I mean? But like, she knew exactly what she was doing though. I mean, like, Quinn Half to an extent. I mean, Quinn Half, I wish him all the best because I don't want to basically, excuse my language, shit on a guy. But at the same time, it's like,
he ain't Tia Norfleet.
He's no Tia Norfleet, okay? Tia Norfleet was god awful. Yeah, go watch Danny B's video. Y'all know the whole story. We were actually watching it too the other day. That was funny. But I mean, I guess my point is, these cars, I mean, they're dangerous as hell to drive. And if you feel that a certain or maybe a few people shouldn't be out there at on the same level as you, then yeah, I think it's totally fair to bring that to NASCAR's attention and make a fair decision. And I think NASCAR, what they're gonna do is they're probably gonna talk with them. They already have probably, and be like, hey, look, if we see any more on track incidents like this, we gotta sit you. Like even though you bring the funding. I mean, Starcom put themselves in this situation, and I mean, I can't really blame them because it's like I know some people were getting mad at them for not re-signing Landon, but it's like Landon don't have funding like that. Quinn Half does, so I don't know. We'll see what happens with that, but I wish him all the best, and I really love Starcom too. Shout out to Winbow. I really love Starcom, and I really want him to do good. So we'll see what happens.
So we all have opinions on it, but one thing we have to have opinions on is the Kansas race. It's Kansas this week. It's not Kentucky, I got wrong last week.
Is there a race tomorrow, or is it?
Yes.
Damn.
Yes, Cup race is tomorrow.
I am excited for this one because I remember this one being a night race was so good last year.
Yeah, it was. Oh, well, yeah, you definitely loved. Oh wait, Bowman didn't win that race. That's
right. It was still a great race. There was a lot of side-by-side racing.
I'm probably giving my biggest hot take of the night here. I think we might see, I'm not guaranteeing it, but we have the opportunity and we might see the best race of the year tomorrow night.
Yeah,
I think so.
Maybe so. We'll see. Look at Eric. Eric looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, this is not normal for me to be this positive, but remember last year's Kansas race was
awesome.
Blast.
Taking out my Bowman bias, that one was so entertaining to watch.
Here, I'll double this hot take. The Xfinity race on Saturday will be the best race in all of 2020 and all of NASCAR. We'll see what happens.
And Ryan Vargas will get a top 10, hopefully.
Yeah, he'll get a top 10. He'll get a top 10, hopefully. I mean, he's got a Pokemon. So.
Talladega was really freaking good.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not guaranteeing it like Darian is. I'm just saying that.
I'm not guaranteeing anything either. We'll see what happens.
It has the potential. If they will race the same way they did last year, it can be awesome.
I'm just shocked to see this Zoom call so excited about a 1.5 mile race.
I know.
So, all right.
Freaking go, Kansas. Let's go.
I can't believe I'm excited for Kansas. Anyway, but speaking of Kansas, we got picks. So who's gonna suck this week? Who wants to start us
first?
off?
William Byron's gonna suck this week. Massively inconsistent. Yeah, he's on that bubble, but here's the thing: his boy isn't gonna be there. I don't think tomorrow. Chad Canals, he's not gonna be there.
No,
I don't know who the hell they have running the team, but I mean, look, Chad Canals is a Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer, 7-time champion. He's definitely been in Byron's ear about, hey, you got to cool it on some of these things. But then in fairness to Byron, some of these incidents weren't his fault. I mean, you can't control blown rear tires. You can't do that. And he seems to have a lot of those issues this year. But I don't know. William Byron, he's super inconsistent this season. So I think he's going to suck. So naturally, my pick, he's probably going to win. A little jinx thing. So, but yeah, William Byron, I think he's not going to do good.
I'll go with
his. That's the guy.
Keith Rodden's his crew chief. I think Byron's a good pick, but I'll go with his teammate. I'll go with Jimmy Johnson. I'm not feeling they don't got any momentum going their way. I just see something going wrong.
Something bad.
I'm going to say Matt Kenseth. The 42 team's kind of not been as strong as I thought they would these last few weeks, and could just be kind of a trend there.
I am actually going to double down with Eric on this one. I'm going Jimmy Johnson. That team has just been sliding backwards. Yeah, they've had speed, but at the same time, it's been a lot of driver error, which is incredibly crazy to say, man. It's crazy. But it really has. Jimmy Johnson, I think, is actually hot take here too. I think Jimmy Johnson's been the part of that team that's holding that team back right now. And I think that between that and the Hendrick cars not performing as well as they did before the COVID break, I don't see Jimmy Johnson having a good race. Now, naturally, I say that I'm gonna. He's going to win it. Thank you, PTM's Groupie. I hope I said that name right again. So for the 499 says, made it home in time for picks. Nice, man. Nice. Leave them in the chat.
So we're going to go on to Underdog picks next.
Underdog.
I'll go with Jimmy Johnson on this one. And I know, Jimmy Johnson's considered a freaking underdog
trying
nowadays.
Trying to schmooze the chat. That's all you're trying to do.
No. See, I was like looking at some of these stats, and I'm like, well, yeah, Jimmy Johnson does have a history here. But, I don't know. I feel like Johnson, he'll pull something off. He's not going to have this miraculous victory that's going to save his season, like on the spot. And he's not.
Someone clip this now.
He's not just.
Someone clip it for after the race when he inevitably wins now.
This is always my luck, and I don't think he's going to really run up front really all day, all night tomorrow. I just feel. He'll be consistent. He'll be fast. He'll be somewhat competitive, and that'll be enough to really, to really, stamp his mark in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. But Jimmy Johnson, please don't disappoint me.
I'm going to go with Tyler Reddick. I'm going to agree with that super chat we got at the very beginning of the night that kind of just randomly exclaimed that Tyler Reddick was their underdog pick. Reddick got a top 10 here last year as
31.
Not technically a rookie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, driving a third RCR car, kind of a one-off deal. Finished, I think, 9th. So I'll go with Reddick. And a track like this where the bottom and the top works pretty well, even with this rules package. Watch for Tyler Reddick. I think he'll be a top 5 threat.
Right on.
I'm going to double down with Eric on this one and also say Tyler Reddick. He's got some speed on these kind of tracks, and could get a good top 10, maybe top 5.
So the RCR cars have been really, really improving this year, and especially the last couple of weeks, they've improved. Now, granted, the win, I will say, Austin Dillon was not the top running car. Tyler Reddick was like 20th in that race, most of the race. They had a very intelligent call at the end, got him a 1-2 finish. Yeah. I think that anyone associated right now with RCR is going to be a dark horse. I know I sound like a broken record here. I'm getting to be like Danny with Bowman here, except with this guy, Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace is my dark horse pick. I don't think he's going to be somebody who's going to be running up in the top 5 all night, but he's someone who could sneak in the top 10, probably going to be in the top 15 or so. So I go Bubba Wallace as my dark horse pick.
All right, who's going to win at Kansas? Who's going to win? Let's see. So I thought about this. I was tossing and turning all night. Well, not really, just for the past 5 minutes. But damn, you know what? I gotta go with Blaney here. And I know Blaney's had horrible luck. He's had just awful luck this year. It's not fair, and I gotta blame this guy. Unfortunately, that's the only thing I can think of. It's the only.
We all got our props.
Thanks, Darren.
Because Harvick didn't rub it, and look what. Nah, I'm playing. But anyways, if we're gonna get all serious, Blaney has a history here. I remember 2018. He was running up front here, 2019, a little bit of the same thing. Just, can't close the deal yet. Just can't close the deal on these 1.5 miles. I don't know what the hell it is, but just be patient, guys. I'm telling you, Blaney's he's gonna peak at the right time this season. That's the great thing about the playoffs. You don't have to be consistent anymore. You can run dog shit 35th, win a race, and then somehow get in the top 30, and maybe miraculously you somehow get something done. I'm not saying that happens, but it's possible. The possibility is there. But for Blaney, I truly believe that their peak is yet to come. Just guys, be patient. Ryan Blaney, 2nd win of the season. tomorrow night.
Well, like Jackson Badgley in the chat says, very unprofessional, Darian.
And to think this Nvuda belly is still making people mad to this day. Little kiss right there. All right, go ahead.
This is a race. I think it's going to be dominated by drivers we're used to seeing. I think much like Texas was dominated by Hamlin and Blaney. I think throw Harvick or Keselowski or somebody like that into the mix as well. But I think it's going to come down to some late race madness, sort of like last year's did, some late race restarts, some great battles at the end. Right as I was about to make my pick, I looked down and see Jimbo Burrito say Eric is going to pick either Eric Jones or Chase Elliott. Yep, I'm going with Eric Jones. Eric Jones finished top 5. I think he finished 3rd and like 7th in the 2 races last year. And like we talked about earlier, that team, when they don't make mistakes, runs in the top 5 and top 10 routinely. I think they get it done this week. I think they'll be the kind of surprise winner.
Damn, so that would be the 3rd driver in a row that'll move up who's below the cut line. Okay, that's cool. Crazy.
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
The spicy pick.
Who you got, Danny?
All right, so Jared, just get ready. So, okay, I'm sure he wants this one really bad after last year. It's going to run pretty similar to Auto Club for him, I think. And, yeah, Alex Bowman.
Yes! Woo!
It gets win number 2 of the year.
Bro, Bowman was a freaking stud that weekend. He was like a second and a half ahead of everyone all weekend, too.
I think it was that one last year where everyone kind of realized, okay, this guy can do it.
Yeah, he can do it, man. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, Bowman. Another Bowman pick from Danny B. It's like the 10th time that's happened this year, I think. I don't know. I lost track.
Probably been way less than that, to be honest. But
yeah.
I love it. Well, you know what? I'm gonna go a little outside the box here. This guy ran really well last year. He's at Kansas. He has also been somebody who's been fairly consistent when all things go right. He's has some momentum going for him right now. And I think for the first time since either Kevin Harvick or Dale Earnhardt drove for RCR is going to get 2 weeks in a row with a win. I might be wrong there on that one, but they're going to get 2 weeks in a row with a win. But this time it's going to be Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick's going to win. He's going to shake up the playoff bubble all over again. And it's going to be both RCR cars that are going to be in the playoffs. So I got Reddick, baby. Yeah, I'm going with grade 8.
This is entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. So it'll be the 3rd guy in a week that somebody in a row that somebody bumps someone down. So we'll see what happens.
We got the 8, the 88, the 20, and who'd you have, Darren?
Who'd I have? I have Blaney. Yeah, Blaney.
Well, and I write down all our picks and stuff. So I had me, the Darian, then Eric, then Danny, and it goes 8, 12, 20, 88. It's the first time I think we've been in numerical order like ever.
Damn.
It's stupid stuff like that makes me go yay. So that's picks. That means I think all we got left is just to say what channel we're on, who's on next week, and some other fun stuff. I don't know. I got a prop.
Okay, someone just screamed outside. This place is crazy. All right. So anyways,
I thought I heard you.
Yeah.
I just want to say this though. Jarrett almost didn't have that, thanks to somebody.
We were leaving the Bristol house. I might have had a little too much moonshine the night before. We're not going to get into that.
I had 12 shots. I'm just going to tell y'all. I had 12 shots of moonshine, and but go ahead.
18. Anyway, so I told Darren, hey, man, can you grab, like, my computer and Dale call? Or no, it's on my Xbox and Dale call. You grab my Xbox. Not my Dale call.
I find your Dale call. Bro. You, like, all weekend, it was like the stuff would be in plain sight for you, and then it would just be like, bro, it's right there. Okay. But then your freaking Dale call, I didn't see your Dale call, but I saw that giant-ass Xbox, and I'm like, let's go. I just wanted to leave. I wanted to get some breakfast, but he got it back in time, though. I like that.
And then I get a text from my wife's cousin and said, I think one of your friends forgot something here. I said, oh, and he said, well, I can just hang on to it till next time. And I was like, oh, we kind of need that.
Yeah, we kind of need that to show tradition. So that's cool. That was nice of him. And he didn't make you pay him back either. That was even nicer too. I like that. So yeah,
I really appreciate it. So if you're watching, thank you for sending this. Yeah. It really does mean a lot. it's big for the show, but just sentimental for me too.
Yeah. So, but really quick, guys, next week, next Wednesday, we're on my channel, Black Flags Matter. We got Dylan Smith and Justin Champagne on. For those who don't know Justin Champagne, he is a cool ass dude on NASCAR Twitter. I love his content, and just speaking with him personally, I really like. He's a really down to earth guy. He's pretty cool, and maybe we might have more important guests on there too, or more guests. You never know. So we'll see. You just wait and see us on Twitter announcing something. But yeah, Justin Champagne and Dylan Smith will be on the podcast next week. So this should be fun.
Fun as hell.
All right. So are we done? Are we ready?
Yeah, I think we got everything. I think we got everything. So
all right. I've been running it all night, guys, by the way. Jarrett, do your thing and I'll close it out. There was two. All right, bye y'all.